All right, we have Alex here, back again. Thank you for coming back, Alex.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, bud.
So how's the Sovereign Self Defense going?
It is going amazing. We're growing. We're just growing leaps and bounds, and it's just a sign that I'm on the right path. I've done other businesses, and it's been a stress and struggle, and I've dealt with a lot of no's and knocking on doors, and it's nice to get a lot of yeses, and it's just a lot of flow. It's a beautiful thing to keep up with growth. It's a beautiful thing.
And thank you for calling me, because I think this is a real important thing, because both of us agree that it shouldn't be post-traumatic stress disorder. I totally agree with that. And you came up with post-traumatic stress awesome.
Correct, yeah.
And that's really one of many things that we're here to talk about today. Now, you were here maybe 8 months ago.
Maybe that, yeah.
So so for people that didn't see it, just give a little background about what you do, where you come from, and so on.
Sure thing. I am the American dream. I was born to two drug addict parents, New York, 70s, you name it. My mom was a proper hippie / gypsy, if you want to call it. I grew up all over this country. I left New York at a young age, grew up all over this country. Places I grew up were not always the creme de la creme, if you will, Young age, I decided to go in the military, went in the Marine Corps at 17 years old. I was in aviation. I was an aviation mechanic, ended up in helicopters. As soon as I got to my unit, I volunteered to be a door gunner. So I started shooting guns. I was hard charging, full of testosterone and invincibleness. You know what I mean? I was like, I'm shooting guns, man.
You're Clark Kent, right?
Within a short amount of time, I became a weapons and tactics instructor, primarily from the aerial platforms. And that's my story. Came out of the Marine Corps, been in civilian world, other businesses, and decided to complete my hero's journey and full circle. Now I'm giving back everything that I've learned and all my experiences. They all made sense when I wanted to create this business, and was like, wow, my whole life has really just been training for this moment. So that's what I do now.
Awesome. And then what made you come up with the post-traumatic stress disorder awesome thing? What gave you that initiative to attack that and get rid of the disorder out of it? Because every military person I talk to says it's not a disorder, and when you chemically look at it, and we're going to get into all that, it's not.
Well, that's the one thing is before my recent time and I started this business, my wife and missus called me a steel trap. I could sit in a room and bullshit with the best of them. You would have had a great time at dinner. You'd be like, Alex is such a good guy. But if you actually asked anything about my life, ghost. They would have been like, whoa, wait a minute. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I really don't know anything about the guy. We just spent 10 hours together. I mean, I've had friends for years and never even knew I was a Marine in the past. So my point around that is we're a bit of a steel trap. It's like we might feel that or see it, and we'll talk about it with certain people, but then nobody's really like getting out there saying, hey, some are. It's not that nobody, but some are. But I called you just because I was like, man, this is important and we need to get it out more. And what that is it's not a disorder. You know what I mean? Are there things that happen? Are there, guy steps on a landmine, guy has a lot of like, ears ringing, like even guys on the bigger sniper rifles, the 50 cals and stuff, do they have a detached retina from sitting behind that thing, like getting punched in the eye? Yes, that happens. Is there traumatic brain stuff? Absolutely, that stuff happens. I'm not taking the physical side of things off of it. You know what I mean? If you lose an arm or you lose a limb, you lost an arm, you lost a limb. I get it. However, that's still not a disorder.
Yeah, because that's something that happened, right? A disorder would be you're born with a disorder, right? That's born with a disorder. So before you go into the military, you don't have a disorder. There's nothing wrong with you. You go to the military, you see some crazy shit, and then come back into society without any real help. I mean, what do you think? You're just going to, oh, hey, guys, let's go to McDonald's after you were in the woods for, like, our buddy Cruz who, unfortunately passed away. Mm. Like, he was lost in Kuwait for 2 months. He was supposed to just come back and everything's fine. They couldn't find him. They thought he was dead, It's just crazy. So after reading through everything, how does, Maslow's hierarchy relate to America today? And can you pull slide one? Thank you.
Yeah, this does come into, I'm glad you started here. It does, we'll circle back to how this applies to veterans and stuff like that. But this is my main messaging. What I do is actually minimal in weaponry or firearms or anything of that nature. It's yes, we do some of that, but it's just a tool. And what is that tool? What I see is wrong with the world, and what my entire mission is today is we're in a fear-based world. Down there at the bottom of that triangle, this is physiological needs. Air, food, water, shelter, clothing, excretion, the basic bodily functions, if you will. Right up from that is safety, security. That's security of your own health, employment, family, personal space. Also, safety of your personal space is foundational to a healthy human being, period. And also foundational to a healthy society, to a healthy country. If we had no security here at all, it would just be the Wild West and be completely lawless. Well, obviously, we don't want that per se. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
However, where we think we're at, there's a lot of people that think they're up there in self-esteem needs. Oh, I'm confident. I'm worried about achievement. Where's that good book or something I want to write?
Do you notice a lot with the self-esteem that it's a lot of people, they feel that they need approval from other people? Like they need somebody to say, oh, you're good looking, or you're right, or you're right. And I know many people that say, you ask me if this is white, or I ask you, hey, Alex, is this white? You say, yeah. Now I'll call 90 other people for them to give me approval that this is white. You know what I mean? That type of thing.
Yeah. So, there's two sides of every coin. We call it, being healthy, or being in limitation, or being in empowerment, being limitation, right? So let's say self-esteem. It could be a horrible thing if you don't know how to use it.
Because it could affect you negatively it could really kill you because you could get so depressed, stressed.
Correct, when you're looking for outer
This
referral.
podcast is brought to you by Monster Energy. Tear into a can of the meanest energy drink on the planet, Monster Energy. It's the ideal combo of the right ingredients in the right proportion to deliver a big bad buzz that only Monster can. Monster packs a powerful punch, has a smooth, easy drinking flavor. Athletes, musicians, co-eds, road warriors, metalheads, geeks, hipsters, and bikers dig it. You will too. Monster Energy is more than just the green OG. Monster has Monster Ultra, Juice Monster, Monster Hydro, Rehab Monster, Dragon Tea, Monster Max, Muscle Monster, and many more. Buy on Amazon, buy on Walmart, or go to monsterenergy.com and believe me, you'll find a place. Unleash the beast. Monster Energy.
And you've hit the nail on the head in the sense of, but it can also be healthy. Or even the word ego. Let's call self-esteem ego. You can say, oh, I don't have an ego. The Buddhists are like, oh, there's no ego, yada, yada, yada. Well, there's some misinterpretation there. You can have a very healthy ego. And that's self-confidence. That's assurance in yourself. Everything's fine. If your ego is completely out of whack, well, it goes way the other way too. Does it make the ego wrong? No. But that's where the safety and security comes up into play. You can't skip any of those steps.
Why do you think the Buddhists don't believe that? I've read a lot of Buddhist stuff because a lot of what they said, well, they live for it. They live like 300 for one, and they just seem very intelligent. But I've read that in a couple of books. Well, why do you think they believe in the? How can you possibly have no ego at all?
Yeah, well, I would say, that's misinterpretations into text, But let me just touch this point real quick. That's why you cannot skip any of these steps. Because if you try and jump one of these steps, when you get in there, it's just a rabid dog. It's not really a healthy ego. It's not healthy love. Look at the word love up there. How many people bastardize love and do horrible things in the name of love? Why? Because they haven't gone through the actual process. Does that make sense?
What's the actual process?
Right here. Yeah, your basic needs are met, physiological. Look, if you can't eat... Hold on a second. Sit. Good boy. Get down.
What's his name?
Maximus.
Maximus.
A little dog. He's just he's curious about you. So, anyways, if you don't have air, food, and water, guess what? Then you're not thinking about reading that great book or getting that next job. You understand what I mean? And the biggest thing here that I see is morality. If you notice, if your safety, your security, these things aren't done, morality's way at the top. So people do a lot of things in the sense of like, Sam, this dog's too smart. Look, he got out of his vest. Go over there with Sam.
That's all right. My daughter learned how to take her diaper off and throws it in the living room, so that's great. She does. Yeah. I come home, she's naked half the time.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
He's so smart. He's a good dog. He's been at work all day. He's in training, but when he gets to work like for like 10 hours, he starts to get a little anxious, but he's all right. So it's just about skipping steps, and a lot of our society is trying to skip steps. And when you skip steps, then you start asking other people for your safety and security. Oh, do this, I need a safe space. Oh, do this, I need this. Oh, do that, let's censor this. Oh, let's do this. And that, my friend, is a race to the bottom. That is a black hole. We don't need to go out to outer space. Looking for somebody else to do something for you is a black hole, because it's unsatiated and it will never happen. Does that make sense?
It does. How do you feel about the card now that they have when you go to boot camp and in the Marines? What was that card called that you could put up now?
The timeout card.
It's like a time. They call it something
timeout
else.
Card.
The younger gentlemen that were in here.
Being worked too hard, almost, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like throwing the towel card or whatever. Like, can you believe that in the Marines?
About it. I know about it. Yeah, they're not allowed to curse at them either, and like, there's a lot of things they're not allowed to do. But I would say this. You can't escape yourself. If you're a guy that uses one of those, here's a good thing about Marines. I don't want to go to combat with a guy that needs a timeout card. You understand?
Hell no.
They're going to weed you out in some way, in some fashion. Now, that might not be from the rules, and it might not be from the brass, and it might not be from a gunnery sergeant. But, at the end of the day, if you and I got to go sit on this gun, and I'm the machine gunner, you're the guy that gets me ammo. I don't want you taking a time out.
No.
Like, I need bullets. You know what I mean? So, some may or may not happen, but you won't be in that position too long. That's the good thing about it.
It's like society is crazy now, right? Like, so there's a basketball player, Russell Westbrook.
Yeah.
Right? I love basketball still, but he missed a shot the other day, or bricked a couple shots, right? So his name's Russell Westbrook. So they started yelling Russell Westbrook. And he started complaining and crying about it and saying, oh, the fan should be kicked out for saying. I'm like, racial slurs is one thing. Westbrook, really? Like, these guys have no, like, everybody's so soft anymore.
That's what I loved about Jordan. Like, somebody talks, wasn't that a famous one with, like Spike Lee or something was a big Knicks fan. He would shit talk Michael Jordan.
Yeah, and would actually
and then he
pump
would
him up.
Run him,
rock him
and go, hey, tell your team thank you for that one.
Yeah, he would.
These guys are getting paid.
But that's when, they're getting paid out the ass, and they can't handle the stands going brick. Can you imagine them playing 20 years ago, Alex?
Well, no.
All society, those like that. We just, ugh.
Well, this is what we're tapping into.
Yeah, and
you can't even say this, or you can't do that, and then boom, you fall apart. So my mission here and what I'm training is that safety and security needs. Once you could drop me anywhere, and that's not just location. You can drop me anywhere, and I'm good. And I've traveled the world, and in my younger days, I put myself in some stupid scenarios. You know what I mean? But I was good. And I even told my wife about places I've been. She's like, "How'd you travel so many places?" I was like, because I'm good. No matter where I'm at, I'm good. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So when you land somewhere, what do? You scope it out, you look around, and just figure out how you're going to fit in. Like, how does your brain work? If I go put you in Portugal. That's a good
point. I want you to pull up the next slide, and that's a good point. One. Because, see, this is exactly, it's a great segue, is, here's the brain. Technically, we've got, two brains. They break it up into 3 parts, call it 2 brains. Reptilian brain controls the body's vital functions. That is your heart, your lung, your indigestion, all the stuff that you don't have to think about doing that operates. That's what that is. You understand what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Limbic system is emotions, judgments, behavior. Top is controls imagination, abstract thought. And here's how silly scientists and this is right off a psychologist website, consciousness. Your consciousness is not in your neocortex, that's for sure. However, me a favor, for the longest, for quite a while, we thought we were operating from this neocortex, from like, okay, we're thinking beings, we're logical, we're rational, we can think through things. We don't have to act like animals anymore. The old Tarzan, like England and Africa or something, right? We don't have to act like animals. We're sophisticated. We're going to bring society to these people, et cetera, et cetera, It's quite well known in psychology now that mostly what's still running the show is the reptilian brain. Well,
yeah, but the A1 and the A4 up there in the neocortex, that's still pushing a lot too. That's what it absorbs the serotonin and the dopamine that your brain naturally produces.
Correct, but you're still down the line from that. What do I mean? What causes serotonin to come out? Fight or flight.
Right.
You understand? What causes adrenaline to move? What causes all those things to
Fight or
move?
flight.
Okay, well, that's all in the reptilian brain.
Almost instinct. Is instinct, really. Right?
Yeah, well, what you call instinct is thousands and thousands of years of evolution.
Yeah.
Why do babies, when they're even, okay, you weren't taught it, but if you're on something high and you look over, you get that feeling in your stomach.
That's natural.
That was not taught.
Right.
What became natural was some monkey fell out of a tree at some point and everybody was like, whoa, heights are bad, don't hold on.
Good point.
And that is actually still with you. So what you think is natural is the lack of dodo bird. We are the culmination of thousands of years of evolution.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of things dying off, learning, growing, evolving, et cetera, et cetera. If you happen to believe in that, and we're going to stay in the conversation that we believe in evolution. If it was just all put here, well, then this podcast probably isn't for you. You understand what I mean? However, from this standpoint, we've given too much to this thing up here. This is not the control tower. There's more neurology in your gut. Why do you say, oh, I feel that in my gut? The hair stood up on the back of my neck. That's your radar system, man. You know what I mean? There's a lot going on there. And what I've done, and you said, oh, how do you travel, do this or that? From a very young age, I've given a lot more credence to my natural systems than what I was thinking.
So you listen to more of your instincts than what your mind is telling you. And that's
Yeah.
pretty much how you've been able to be so successful. And like you said, where you can put me anywhere in the world and I'll figure out how to survive and or
100%.
make it work.
100%.
Well, I'll tell you what, if I would have listened to my instinct a lot more, I think things would be a lot better for me too as well.
Hello, all of us. I
Yeah.
mean, every single human being has done something and then left the scenario. I mean, a kid at a college party, you at a bar, you at a restaurant, like something has happened and you left that and you feel this dump of like, whoa, that could have been bad. And like, or something bad did happen. You're like, son of a bitch, that thing was screaming at me, but I didn't listen.
Now, why do you think today we need this more than ever? I mean, I know there's a million things going on, but why do you think now it's needed so badly?
Everything is too short in this world. You want something, you click Amazon, it drops it off. Well, you can't do that with courage.
Can't agree with anymore.
You can't do that with your own psyche. There's no shortcut on the hero's journey. It's not a video game. There's no this, there's no that. Guess what? Any psychologist, clinical psychologist worth his salt says the only way to build something is exposure. So you can't take away fear, you can only build courage.
And you know what's a great point to that proves how society is? TikTok. It's 3 minutes, 4 minutes, right? Short attention span. Everybody wants everything now. So TikTok blew up because of the attention span of the younger generations, and that's a scary thing.
Yeah, now there's look, there's good and bad in everything, if you want to call it that. You know what I mean? Them learning how to operate things, preparing themselves for the new world, probably skills I don't need. I don't need TikTok skills, and I know I will die a happy man and never need TikTok skills. I'm okay with that.
Me too.
You know what I mean?
I just use it for business.
Yeah.
I haven't. You have to hit the app to open it.
Yeah.
I turn the volume down because as soon as you get it, some of the craziest things I've ever seen. Good for them. I hope they're making a ton of money, but I have no interest.
Right.
I post and I run.
Got it. Yeah, I hire somebody to do that for me. I don't even have one. I'm lying. I don't even have one, even for business. But, why do I think that happens? And then, okay, so then they're trying to shortcut this growth as a human being. And then they think they're way up on that triangle somewhere, like, no, I'm this way. I'm so civilized and yada, yada, yada. And self-righteousness of where you are. I was training even like a 20-year-old something. He had it all worked out, That's a great one. Instagram with 22-year-old life coaches. And it's like, really? Really? You're a life coach? Really? All right, sweet.
And they're getting paid too.
But yeah, I mean,
people buy into. How can you be 22 and be a life coach?
Yeah, that's
what have
my
you
point.
experienced at 22, Alex?
Yeah.
A beer? Legally,
actually,
I guess.
Yeah, I was in the Marine Corps. I had experienced a bit of war and combat. You know
well,
what I mean?
maybe but you're one of a.
Fair enough. Most modern 22.
Alex hits you back. He goes, well, at 22, I was in war. Bullets were flying across me. You know what I mean?
I was shooting. I wasn't old enough to have a beer in this country.
And then I'm really interested in this. So you say when you train and you go by the animal psyche, it builds courage.
Absolutely.
I know you elaborated like this, but elaborate further on that because I think it's so important with it.
Perfect. So if you don't train it properly, it's like my little dog over there. You ever been in a room with a undisciplined dog and it jumps on the table and it yaps and it eats your stuff and you're like, dude, this fucking dog's a pain in my ass, right? Well, that's most people's thoughts. So you think your thoughts are you and they sound like you and they're you. Well, guess what? It's working the other way. Your reptilian brain is untrained and it's a yappy dog and it won't shut up in between your own two ears. So those emotions come from reptilian brain.
Now, how do you control that?
You don't control it. You train it and you command it. See, if you control a dog, you break it.
So,
It'll never work for you.
Okay, so when you train...
You ever work for somebody to try to control you?
Oh, yeah, I quit.
How does that work out?
I don't work for people. I can't do it.
Right. But now if you're with somebody and they're a great leader and they're commanding an organization, you're like, shit, I want to do that. Well, that's how you turn your inner voice in through training. It becomes more willing. It wants to work for you. That little service dog I got, Maligator, he's a Belgian.
Well, he's out. He's taking a nap.
Yeah, he's
now.
good. There's a
He's got
while
that cold air hit him. He's good.
I have I've had dogs my whole life, but I didn't know them professionally, and I could train a good house dog. I never had a dog that was tearing up on the table or nothing like that. I had a good house dog. Don't get me wrong, yeah. But then when I got him and I started the training, he'll sit at my feet if I'm watching TV and just stare at me for hours, and I'd be like, dude, this dog's staring at me. Get the hell out of here. Go lay down or something. I was feeling weird about it, And I talked to the trainer. He's like, no, don't do that. That's his job. His job is service. And he's just happy as a pie. He's fulfilling his own purpose to serve you. Well, what if your own emotions and thoughts were that way? How many times do your emotions and thoughts work against you? So for a long time, we thought, oh, we're neocortex. We're up here. We're thinking beings. Any psychologist worth his thought sees the system the other way around. The source of it is the reptilian brain. Mm-hmm. The source of it is your body, is that. Then it comes emotions. You'll feel a certain way. You understand what I mean? And then the actual neocortex will kick in. Let me give you an example. Somebody doesn't feel safe. Fear button was pushed. They have an emotion. They have the thought, and they execute on that thought. Ready what that thought was? Smack an old lady in Publix because you thought there wasn't going to be toilet paper. It's irrational. Why is it? And I'll bring it closer to you. How many of you have gotten in an argument with somebody, and 2 hours later you forget what you're arguing about, but you just won't let it go? Why? Fight or flight in an undisciplined animal. When you have a canine and it's attack, it loves to attack. And when you say release, it releases. Well, what if you could release that fight in yourself? Well, you know what? This fight ain't worth it. Let me chill out. We call it road rage.
Yeah. Great example.
You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
It's operating everywhere because everybody's operating backwards. They want to rationalize with you. I'm going to tell you this great point. Yeah, but you're coming from a stupid animal and it's annoying the shit out of me. Don't talk to me. Get confident in yourself and then see what can happen.
That's a great point. I have a mini French bulldog. It was supposed to be mini, but her teeth didn't come in because the guy was like, I might die. It was supposed to be about this
Frenchies,
big.
yeah.
And I had to feed it Irish butter to keep her alive because it wouldn't eat. But Irish butter, the pure stuff, has a ton of calories.
Yeah.
So she was supposed to only be 6 pounds, but strong as a rock, a real good French bulldog.
Yeah.
Well, I had to feed her butter for a year to keep her alive, right? And she's fat, but still, she can go at the wall 100 miles an hour and it doesn't even phase her because they're, I bought them from good breeders. But the point to that, she always comes up to me and sits on my foot. Yeah. Whenever I'm standing, kitchen, living room, whatever, she'll come up and just sit on anybody's foot. If you came to my house or your wife, she would come up and sit on the foot. Yeah. Now, what is that? Because her job is to protect, right?
Yeah.
And, by instinct. And she feels that when she's sitting on your foot as a guest in the house or myself or whoever, they're doing that of instinct to protect as a service because that's what they do.
That's what they do. Yeah. And the Frenchies are funny. They're little, but their personalities are big. You know what I mean? I'll tell you a funny,
crazy.
You want to hear a funny one? This is hilarious. My mom actually has one. So they're breeding French bulldogs with Shih Tzus. Ready? They're called bullshits. That's not a joke. It's
I got to
true,
see what
man.
you got a picture one.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I got a picture on my phone over there with my missus somewhere. But they're actually
grab
called-
it before you go
they're
and put it
funny,
on.
man. They're funny.
So
And
what-
it's
what
got
you
a
call
ton
it,
of energy.
bullshit?
It runs around
yeah.
the property. I've got 5 acres, and it runs with the big dogs. It thinks it's a big dog.
They're
It was
strong as hell, man.
Yeah.
It was checking the big dogs. I was like, wow, okay. It's a great little dog.
My friend has one, and you can always hear him breathe, you know. So I made sure I got a show dog, not to try to be cool. I didn't want to like mine. He's faster than me, and I'm pretty fast. I run every
You
day.
don't got to try and be cool. You already are. Man. Relax. We got it. We got it.
Actually, I was going through a rough time, and I didn't want to be alone. So I said, "All right, I want a cool dog that doesn't slobber everywhere, and
There you go.
I want it to be muscular." And when I bought him, dude, he would have died. He had biceps and
You
everything.
literally just gave him Irish butter, like just butter,
Camilla, the girl one, yeah, she no
just
teeth.
globs of butter.
Yeah, I would give her 2 teaspoons a couple times a day, or tablespoons, because
Wow.
she had no teeth, won't eat. But the butter had a ton of calories, and
Yeah.
I used to
kept
eat
her on.
butter as a kid. It's weird.
Butter bread.
And you're
Like straight
thin.
butter.
You should be 900 pounds, bro. You should be here about how to lose weight. I don't know if I could say that one either.
Yeah, you can't say that.
Like,
man. You can't. You're fat shaming me already?
oh yeah, is that was called fat shaming? Well, look what they did to Chappelle.
Oh, Jesus.
And
I
if
know.
you circle that around, this is off top, but if you circle that around and you watch it, he went back around, and it was a joke that was actually favoring what they attacked him about.
100%.
If you actually watch the whole thing, but like you said, people don't watch the whole thing. They watch a little clip of something,
And they form a whole.
and then all of a
opinion.
sudden they have this opinion that this guy's racist. Yeah, right.
Well, I mean, even for me, I had some trepidation about coming out here, you know what I mean? And continue to put myself out. My old self, I like to work in the shadows, call me special ops, call me what you want to call me. I'm like, I'm going to get the job done. But I have no desire to be famous, to put my face out there, something of that nature. However, there's a mission to be had. My personal feelings are not important, and getting the messaging out and connecting with 1, 2, 10, 100 people, whatever that may be, then that's more important than how I feel about it.
And because you state the refusal to return. So had you not come out, then you're being a hypocrite in a sense, because you want to be in the background, but then you want to tell people, hey, look, you have to get over. You're not in wherever, you're not in Kuwait anymore. You're back here now. This is life.
Yeah.
So although it's different, I understand. But if you didn't come in and put yourself out there to help people, then it's kind of similar, or no?
100%. So, just for the listeners, that refusal to return, look up Joseph Campbell. He came up with something, called the hero's journey, and there's steps to that. Excuse me. One is adventure. It's like you have a calling. You got to go do something, and there's trials and tribulations in that. I can give you symbology from the Bible. I mean, hell, even Pinocchio going in the belly of the beast, all these types of
Give me the
things.
Pinocchio one.
Well, look at the symbology of it. He went in and his Geppetto got swallowed by a whale going into the belly of the beast, and he had to reconcile with his father. How many men have to reconcile with their father to be the hero?
Shit. Was that written purposely like that by the writer, do you think? Or
Whether it was or whether it wasn't, why is Marvel heroes? Why is Marvel the biggest thing here? It's still within our psyche. With something still attracted to the damn hero. And look at even those. What happens when they're young? They don't know how to use their superpower. What is it? They try and hide. They don't want to be around people. They feel a certain way. They feel bad about themselves. Let me alone. People get hurt around me. Sound familiar, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then when they have a mentor and they learn how to use it, then they become the hero. Why is that so important over and over again, from when I was a kid, Pinocchio, from the Bible, before that, and all those things? You know what I mean?
great point, because all those Marvel comics that come out, the movies, there's always that one, let's just say it's like whoever, transfer, whatever it may be, there's always that one that doesn't have the courage, which is what you speak of all the time. And then you have the big guy that has the courage, and then every movie's like that with Marvel.
100%.
In some way, shape, or form. You have the guy with all the courage, you have the little guy trying to get the courage, right?
Along the pathway, you know? So that hero's journey is the pathway. One step of that, you know, going through the trials and tribulations, there's a point where you learn and you get the message. You're like, whoa, so much better now. I've got it. I've worked this thing out. And then you hit a wall. It's like, oh, I have to go back and give also back to society, my loved ones, family, society, whatever that may look like. And then there's another hit there. You notice all Professor Xavier, how many of those superheroes will take off like, screw this? Like Wolverine was like, screw it, I'm going to go live in the woods. I don't want to do this no more. And it's this refusal to return. And then once you get over that hump, and well, for me, and I can't judge all, but I feel that's a lot where vets are hitting. It's like, well, I got to get back to life. Well, what about all my guys that I left behind? What about all these experiences that were back there? What about this? That refusal psychologically will make up a lot of different terms and excuses for it. You know what I mean? It'll make up details. And you think that's your neocortex. That's really just part of the process. You understand what I mean? It's, yeah. So that was part of my refusal. And, you know, this process isn't something that you do once and is done. You know, you might complete that process in one area of your life, and then you hit another challenge, and you got to go through the process again, and then you go through the process again. You continue to evolve, you know. And me putting myself out there was a bit of that refusal return. Hey, I've grown. I've been training people for years. I've got a lot of knowledge. I put this together, and I believe in some unique way that's going to land with somebody. Does that make sense? So I got to get out there.
That has to be the biggest thing with vets, right? The refusal to return. Because when I read that just everybody I know that had any issues that had been in the military, I could relate that to the refusal to return because they were stuck on what had happened. Not that it's not something to be stuck on. You know, a couple guys I know, they lost a lot of people over there, and they were stuck on that and just didn't let it go. Of course, it's hard to accept, but like you said, life has to go on. And then there's all the ones that still think they're there. You know what I mean?
Well, listen, but
who do you blame that on, though? Because if you're going to send our guys over there to do that, you know, like Work was saying, he came back, you know, he's fine, but other people aren't fine. And what do they offer you? Outpatient twice a week?
Here's the thing. There's no blame. There's just people being people.
Don't you think that the government should do more?
No.
No?
No. I think as soon as you think the government should do more, listen, we live in a good world. There's a lot of vet organizations out there. One thing that's different about this time than other times, you know, if I have some Marine Corps memorabilia on or something like that, you know, it's weird for me. Somebody would come up to me in Burger King, be like, hey, I just want to thank you for your service. I'm like, whoa, what the hell off? I'm like, you know, I'm almost getting ready to fight. I'm like, what are you standing there for? What are you staring at me for? What's up? Like, I'm ready to get into this scrap, and like, I just want to say thank you. And I'm like, oh, Jesus, man. I'm ready to get into it. Don't do, okay, all right, cool, but don't do that shit, man. Don't come up behind me. You know, what? I mean, they mean well. You understand what I mean?
Right.
But my point around that is we live in a different society. The most positive results I've seen is from people helping people. You understand what I mean? And I'm just not a big fan of government. They don't do anything right. What exactly does the government do right? So when you say, oh, they're fucking this up, it's like, did you expect a giraffe to have a short neck? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well, of course they are. It's fucking government. What did they do right? You
yeah,
understand what I'm
good
saying?
point. So, I mean, even if they did do more, it would be half-ass, right? You know?
Yeah, for very little results. And what I'm saying is there's a lot of organizations that are doing well. We've got a gentleman, Dr. Damon. He does a great program, long-term care. And what he does is he gets a group of professionals around, brain for CTE, psychologists, you know, personal trainers, this or that, immerse them in, okay, let's PT, let's get around. And there's no, hey, here's the formula. Do this with everybody. They sit down, they evaluate each vet, and they say, this vet needs A, B, C, and then get him on the road and stick through that. It might be a year, it might be 18 months to get him back onto, you know, and I don't want to say normal, back into life in his way. Once you're a pickle, you can't go back to being a cucumber. Saying, oh, I didn't let that go. Well, there ain't no way to let it go. You understand what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's like, I'm here now. Now, how am I going to operate and be a benefit to myself, my family, my society, whatever that may look at, you know? And media, of course, is pushing too much of the disorder. There's a great guy, Marine, Corporal Love, Medal of Honor winner. I think he stepped on a grenade or a landmine. He saved his unit. You understand what I mean? Lost legs, quadriplegic, stuff like that. And he's still surfing, jumping out of planes. He's like, and his message is,
love to hear that. You can still, yeah.
I'm so much more than my body. I'm still Corporal Love. Fuck it.
Mind over matter, right?
Yeah, I mean, you know, that's spirit right there. It's like,
yeah.
Okay, so if you lost your finger, you're not you. And I'm not taking anything away from the traumatic experiences that people have. Dude, there's one thing about me and my property when I have vets around there. I've got a fire pit, and I light a fire. It's how I suck them into like just relaxing a little bit. And man, we're always crying. There ain't a fire pit night that doesn't happen that we just don't like have a tear together. And man, you know, stories guys tell me, it makes me emotional right now. So I have the utmost compassion. You understand what I mean? Cool. I understand, but yeah. Okay. Now what?
And do you know how much you're helping them by doing that, and yourself too? You know, I'm not speaking for you. I'm just giving you my opinion. But I believe that it probably helps you a lot too, and keeps you going because you see what you're doing for people. You know,
100%
changing lives. Doesn't matter how many.
I thank you for that. It's an intelligent thing, but it's also what I go through with students every day. See, I squeeze a toothpaste. What I've done is studied in a little bit different way through my own self-discovery journey, and I've learned a lot. So my students get into me. We push up everything within your consciousness that is going to come out in the fight. But that's also what comes out in stress. That's also what comes out in life. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. I've had young people like bawling, crying to me saying, I've never told anybody A, B, or C. I don't know why I'm telling you, but like through the workshop, all these things come out and we give them a good place to face it, but then also win. How does that mean? Okay, you were attacked. You never told nobody. That's been sitting on you. You don't sleep right. You got anxiety. You do this or that. Here, let's get this bag. Let's punch, scream, yell. Nobody's ever going to do that. And I call that journey, well, my missus went through it too, and she coined it. So, you know, she said before even being with me in training, it was like, oh, fuck me. If something happens, I'm fucked. Fuck me. And after training, it was like, oh, no, fuck you. And that's a different place to operate in the world from.
I see a huge difference from the last time you were in. Yeah, you know, you're very
on fire.
You're on fire. You're on fire because you're very technical and you can break everything down. And just the fact that you took it as far as to break down the different parts of the brain, the reptile brain, everything else. Different Alex in here now, boy.
Yeah. Now,
and very interesting too. I mean, whether you're military or not, I mean, this is life right here. It's not just military.
Yeah,
you know, we're talking life in general.
Yeah, I mean, but when I went in Marine Corps and they like keep your head on the swivel, I was like, well,
what's this?
I learned. Like just moving, like keep your head swiveling. You know what I mean? So you could like look like, okay, you got to watch your surroundings. You got to be aware. You know what I mean? I was like, well, I learned how to count my money in my pocket. And if you pull money out and count it at the counter, I didn't give a damn if you were 7 years old. Somebody was going to rob you for sure. You know what I mean? So it was like, whoa, like, oh, everybody doesn't do this all the time. Like, you know what I mean? Like
I'm the only one.
Yeah. So, you know, but combat and being in, you know, in that environment will do it to you. You know what I'm saying?
And then how do you feel about, you know, the way law enforcement at times bully people and they use their status? And I'm all for the police and cop. I think that underpaid shit. I think it's crazy that they funded them. I think that's absolutely insane.
Yeah.
To me, you know, I mean, how are you going to do that? But with the bullying part of it, you know, how do you deal with that? Because you had a little bit of a situation. I don't know if you want to talk about it.
Sure. Well, anywhere in life, when does a bully work? Only if you're bullyable. You understand what I mean? What does that mean? All they're doing, what, you know, we consider that bully thing. So you learn something, and let's back up a second. Any profession in the world, you learn something, let's say in school, to do that profession, right? And then you get on the job, and then you really learn how to actually do the job. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So there are things that are not necessarily the law, but are practices. You understand what I mean? And the practice works a good amount of the time. Okay? Now, do I agree with that practice? Hell no. You understand? I also train law enforcement. I support them 100%. Now, they are people too. And they are chained a lot of the times by upper policies and things of that nature. You know, even if they want to do it or don't want to do it, they're in a certain way. I'll give you an example. Right here in South Florida, and I'm not going to throw them under the bus. It's not my job to do that. But there's a certain agency here that has a range where cops can go and train how to shoot, of course, yeah. They're not allowed to train to get the gun out of the holster because the insurance company won't cover it. So they got to take their gun out, put it on a range like you're going to go to indoor range and train.
Right, hold on. Wouldn't that be probably one of the most important things?
The most important thing.
Because that would be the foundation. Am
100%.
I right? I mean, you know more than me.
Most important thing. And they're not allowed to train getting the gun out.
You believe this shit? Insurance won't cover how to pull the gun out of the holster, but you want the cop to go deal with God knows who.
Nothing surprising.
So guess what? This all works for
That's
them
insane,
too.
man.
So when they get in a scenario, what happens? Fight or flight. They got to win too. You understand what I mean? They want to go home to their families too. A lot of them take their own. Now there's some departments that are awesome. They really support their.
Alex, I'm sorry. I have to go back. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Why would insurance not cover that? Is it a
'Cause-
big risk that it's going to go off between here and the thing?
Yeah, it's not
Right,
the
yeah.
it's not the easiest thing to do well. You understand what I mean? There's a lot of things that can happen in between there. Pull up shooting yourself on YouTube, and you're gonna see a guy hit himself in the leg, another one in the foot. One of the most famous ones in our world was a DEA agent was at an elementary school. Put DEA agent elementary school,
What?
and he's giving a talk at an elementary school in a cafeteria. And he pulls his gun out. He's like, I'm the only one authorized to do this, yada, yada, yada. He puts his gun back in the holster and shoots himself in the leg in front of the whole damn school.
Oh man, where was that at? Where'd you say it was?
There you go.
Right there.
Hello, number one, I told you.
That's you. That's YouTube. Go down to the second one, Rob.
So he's giving a gun safety talk and literally shoots himself in the leg. So,
There it is.
unfortunately, all humor aside, it's because of guys like that it won't be covered.
I see. Read that, Rob.
A DEA agent who accidentally shot himself in the foot while demonstrating gun safety to school children is suing the agency, saying video of the incident has made him the joke of the internet.
So he shoots himself in the foot, and then he shoots the DEA because he was out there.
He probably won the lawsuit.
Now I see why is this more important than ever today. You've got me. Even though this was 16, jeez,
I'm sure,
Louise.
I'm sure he won the lawsuit too.
He probably did.
Probably
See if he won the lawsuit. If you can find a name, just type it. Did he win the lawsuit? He probably did, right, Alex?
Yeah, I don't know. We didn't hear that far back.
That's funny.
Um,
But yeah, I mean, I see how important it is. So to me, that would be even more of a reason for insurance to cover it, right?
Well, unfortunately,
The
our
insanity
leaders
that's
are
in this world,
are
boy.
not- yeah, there's a lot going on that we don't necessarily agree
He
with.
lost. He lost.
Oh, he lost. Oh, all right.
Oh, he loses appeal. Okay, good, finally.
I thought he would have won like $40 million.
Yeah,
Probably.
easy at least. Right? There's probably a special place like her, the McDonald's hot coffee lady. They all go. They go to their private island and celebrate their money
The
together. or
robbers.
Yeah,
something.
she got paid.
And then the
McDonald's shit got paid.
Remember the guy who fell through the roof? He was robbing a house.
What?
And he fell through the roof, and he sued
Really?
the homeowner, and he won.
Get the fuck.
Yeah, he
Jesus.
fell through the guy's roof, and he sued the homeowner. and he
You heard
won.
about that?
Crazy.
Oh my god.
So we were on law enforcement bully tactics. Yeah. Okay. So I don't necessarily agree with it. However, it is their practice. But why? That it's that limbic system. Hey, it works. You understand what I mean? My messaging out here today is, if you don't have that fear button or it's conditioned, then you even the playing field. Hey, I'm going to deal with you as a human being. You deal with me as a human being. Guess what? That's the best thing for them too, believe it or not. What's the most dangerous things cops do? Traffic stops
I would say probably traffic stop.
and domestic violence.
Because you don't know what you're walking
Traffic
into.
stops, domestic violence. You know what I mean? So, can I just bash cops? They should have better training. It's not just the individual cops. It's the departments. It's the government. Once again, what does government do well? There's many. Are there some assholes? Absolutely. They're people. You understand? But there's many good men and women that go out and put themselves in the fire every day and do a lot of good things. You understand?
And what you just said is an important point because it's like one bad cop and then everybody then is bad, right? So, and then that next cop comes along and then he's hesitant to do A, B, C, or D, or E. Or like now, if you go to New York, you basically have a pass to go rob
Do whatever
900 and nothing happens.
California,
I
you
mean,
can do whatever.
Cali too. I mean, how crazy. When you heard that, what was going through your head? When you saw that, those guys went into Louis Vuitton and just walked out 8 o'clock at night, right? Times Square, shirts over their shoulders, guys are filming.
I think sometimes things have to get worse before they can get better.
Mm-hmm.
And New York, it goes through waves of that. In the 70s, look at the burnt out buildings and all this or that. Then it had this revival, and Giuliani, for whatever he is or isn't, whatever your personal beliefs on, man, he pushed New York to an awesome place.
Yeah, he
really
cleaned it
cleaned
up.
up a lot. I remember walking in the city in Manhattan and just like 42nd Street was like porn shop, liquor, porn store, porn, liquor, hooker, porn. Literally pimp, porn, like
Pimp porn, yeah.
whoa, it was basically
Pimp porn, liquor,
yeah,
pimp porn, right?
you know, drug dealer,
Yeah.
pimp,
Pet corner.
you know, it was, you know, so I mean, it definitely cleaned up. So, you know, and my point is this. Here's the thing, though, and this is what we need more of. I want to speak to the individual, law enforcement and government, everybody that's going out there. Anybody can refuse a lawful order at an unlawful order at any level. Make sense? So if they say, hey, go do this thing, and you're like, that's unlawful, I'm not going to do it. Well, you have to deal with the ramifications of that? Absolutely. Now, guess what? Cops are human beings, too. And they have this thing, too. Okay, I'm going to say no. Well, that's my job. I can't take care of my family. All of a sudden, that needs kicks in. You're like, well, I got mouths to feed, or I'll do this or that. You understand what I mean?
So give me an example of that in life, say.
In law enforcement or in my life?
Law enforcement.
Okay. So when we left Afghanistan, right? Shit show, 100%. There was one officer, lieutenant colonel, that came out and spoke the truth. And look what happened to his career. Lieutenant Colonel Snow.
Yeah.
Hero. You know how many lives he saved? Because Marines just wanted to know somebody had their back. That all of that, or an Army and whoever served there, not just Marines. I cater towards that because I am a Marine, right? Man, how distraught we were. Everything we had done, and you know, was what I had done for not. Like, was what I had done for nothing. Now it's just going to go this way. That I just waste my time. And we were all communicating with each other. No, brother, you did a good thing. No, you did a good thing. And to have a lieutenant colonel come out and put everything on the line and say, no, I'm with you, Marines, and somebody needs to speak up, and him to do that. Wife left him, totally bunked his career, went to jail, and he stood there, and they were like, well, if you just stop talking on social media, it'll be okay. And he was like, I'm going to keep talking because this message needs to get out there. You understand what I mean?
That's my kind of guy.
But not how many Marine Corps officers did that. Hello. You
One.
understand what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, the good thing is it doesn't take a lot.
And it also opens up the door now in the future because somebody done it, right?
Even if he did that, like you say, you don't know the ripple effect. You don't know what other service members saw that and said, you know what? Thank God there's still good men in the world. And it's okay.
He had some kahunas, is what he had.
That is character if I ever seen it, for sure.
Absolutely.
You know what I
Knowing the risk, losing your wife, jail, and you still say, look, this is what I love that. I love to see people stand up for what they believe, whether, you know, within reason.
Sure.
And just be themselves, you know.
And I've seen a bit of it, even through all this other stuff. There's been sheriffs saying, hey, we're not doing A, B, or C. We're not going to do that to our people. You know what I mean? There's local law enforcement that have, like, put videos out and said, listen, I'm not going to do this job no more. I've took an oath to the Constitution. You're infringing on people's rights, and I'm not going to do that.
You're right. They're not letting them do their job, and the way they want them to do their job is not what they signed up for.
Correct. Exactly.
That's what I'm seeing as out here.
100%. Now, you know, outside of the major urban areas, we are more like that than not, and it's a saving grace. If you look at what's happening in Europe and other places, I mean, you've seen videos of they tear gassed a restaurant, like an outdoor cafe in Paris. There's an outdoor cafe and this or that. And the owner was like, all right, well, I'm not going to force people to wear masks. And the cops tear gassed a restaurant because somebody didn't have a mask on. They had to close the doors and get everybody out of there. It's like,
tear gas?
Dude, you're tear gassing your society because they didn't have a mask on. It's like, whoa, you know how many horrible things? There's a great book called Ordinary Men, and it was a gentleman, his parents were Holocaust survivors. He became a psychologist here in this country, and there was a movie made after it. I can't remember. It might be the name of the book, but I'm not sure. Ordinary Men. He said, how did the Germans get good people to do those things? And he studied that, and that book lays it out, and it's very methodical.
How did that?
Step by step. One is authority. Like, just so they put somebody in a room in a white coat, and they had, like, I'm in a white coat, you're the subject of this thing, I would tell you to do something, you would keep doing it, and you would keep doing it. And even afterwards, when they asked, they said, well, why'd you keep doing that and you knew it was wrong? Well, he told me to. You know how many horrible things have happened in society because somebody said, I was just doing my job, I was told to, I'm just doing my job. Look at Australia on lockdowns. What are you doing this for? Well, it's my job, respect it. It's like, yeah, the Holocaust also happened with people saying, well, I was just doing my job too.
And this all goes back to courage, right? Which
Exactly.
is what you do. You build courage in people.
Correct. The courage to stand up and say, no, this ain't right.
And I'm not going to follow it.
Yeah. And in these studies, when there was somebody of authority, perceived authority behind them, it was like upwards of 80% would do things to start to harm other human beings under the guise of authority. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And he's laid it out, and he laid it out how the Germans did it. It's like, okay, well, first of all, we're just going to round up the Jews and we're going to put them in this area. And the local cops would be like, well, all right, they're Jews. We'll put them in that area. You know what I mean? And then, well, now we're going to put them on these trucks and take them in these trains out of here. And you're like, all right. And then they're kind of like happy, you know, when they get you to do it and whatever. And then, I mean, he literally had it almost to like time frame wise to the date from this to like shooting a pregnant woman in a ditch was only a few months. You could turn a good man into that.
Savage.
Like,
or you could turn them the other way, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because it's like all society's there. These guys are going to kill me if I don't do it. And then, you know, how many actually fought against what was going on. And I'm not knocking anybody that did or didn't. I wasn't there, so I'm not going to sit here and say I would have been whatever. You know what I mean? I'm not that type of person. You know, I wasn't there. However, there is a systematic process. And one of the worst things in history that I've studied is I was just doing my job.
Yeah.
No, screw that. You still got to go home to your kids. You still got to be a human being, and you know, that's the break that I want to talk with everybody about. You know, I've been through scenarios with federal agencies myself in different ways, and yeah, it was bully tactics. However, myself, my wife were trained, and you know, this ain't my first rodeo, and we even the playing ground, and also everything was good. I'll give you a good example, right? And I'm not calling for this by any means. However, Bundy Ranch, not Waco, Texas, not like Ted Bundy, not like all that stuff, right? Out in Arizona was a Bundy Ranch. Government was bullying the hell out of a rancher for his cows drinking water on federal land.
What's a Bundy Ranch?
It's the
Don't
guy's
make
last
fun
name.
of me.
It's the guy's last name. His last name is Bundy. So
okay, I
like,
thought it was a certain type.
it'd be
of
like
ranch.
Tommy Ranch or Alex
Okay,
Ranch
all
or
right.
something like that. Yeah. So his last name was Bundy, Bundy, and so his cows drank water on federal land. It's called water rights. You don't own the land, but you can go either eat the grass or drink water or something like that. Grazing rights, yeah. Well, at some point in time, they said, well, now he had a contract with the federal government from like 1800s. His family had like settled that land, and then they made it federal land, and they're like, okay, well, you know, you can still do this, right? So he had a contract for that long. Coming in 2000s, all of a sudden they said, no, you got to start paying us for that. And he's like, dude, I got a contract that's written on hemp paper because it's like as old as the damn Constitution. What in the hell are you talking about? Go screw yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can't just change a contract nilly-willy whenever you want. So he said, screw it. Federal government come in to seize all his cattle, his property.
Put a lien on it, huh?
Put a lien on it. Here, we're going to take it all. Well, let's just say there was a lot of good old boys out there.
I was just going to say, I don't think that probably went too smooth, huh?
It didn't go too smooth. Well, it went pretty smooth for the ranch, not so much for the other guys. I mean, you know, FBI, all this, it ended up being the 6-7 day standoff. But there were a lot of patriots that came out. A lot. And it was this big thing like, okay, you got that, I got this. What's up? You know?
Now, who
All of a
makes
sudden
that
they
call?
said,
That calls from above, right?
Yeah,
That, I mean,
tops
the
FBI.
The men that are out there,
that's
they're
Department of Justice.
basically getting told to do that.
Correct. But what if they all said, I'm not doing this?
Right. This is retarded. There's
I'm not
way
doing
bigger things to worry about,
I'm not
right?
doing this. I can see that man there. He's got his dogs. This is his livelihood. This is his family. Like, I'm not doing this. You understand what I mean?
Because we're talking about water here, right?
We're talking about water.
We're not talking about death or
We're
violence.
talking about
or-
water.
I mean,
You're
that's just.
You're talking about
You hear this shit?
owing a government for water. You understand what I mean? He so-called owed the government for water that they made up. He already had agreements on that land.
Alex, just think. They put a lien on a man's house because his animals drank out of the wrong
Puddle.
puddle of water that is all of ours, right?
Can't
You
say
know?
that.
Yeah.
I
So
mean, wow.
yeah. So but because he didn't kowtow in fear, all of a sudden they're like, you know what? They don't want a Ruby Ridge. They don't want like a Waco, Texas. They were like, you know what? This can go really bad. You know what? Let's go to court and figure it out. And he won in court.
Good for him.
And it's like, well, why not start there?
You start that, but then also
why not start there?
Well, he goes to court. He's got to get a lawyer, right? Even if it was pro bono, you still got to go through that hassle of going to court, taking time out of your day over fucking water, man. I'm sorry. I mean, it's
I'm
just
with
insane.
you 1,000%. But why? You know what I mean? Like, why start with?
Why start with the lean and the
listen
whole
to the guy's interviews? He's like,
shit
look,
show.
yeah, we know what's going on around here, right? His dog's been on that land. They've been. I mean, they literally hundreds. As long as America been here, damn near had been on that land. The dogs are pointing and stuff, and they're like, oh, there's a sniper there. So you go on and you pointing snipers at a man's family for water.
That's unbelievable.
You understand what I mean? So, like, it's those things, and it's at that point. Now, credit to those guys. Did they tell all those guys that were on the guns that had to go do that what the real story was? Or are they just saying, hey, here's this warrant that we're doing. Let's move forward.
This podcast is brought to you by ExpressVPN. Go to www.expressvpn.com, use code MSCS, and get 20% off your order.
VPN is a power tool for your devices that enhances the internet. With it, you can do 3 really cool things. 1. Watch movies and TV from any of your devices, fast and securely. 2. You can use parts of the internet that are blocked in certain countries. 3. You can keep your internet traffic private, even when you're on an unsecured public network.
That's www.expressvpn.com. Use the code MSCS at checkout and get 20% off your order.
And they're like, okay, I got to fulfill this warrant. Okay, great. Do they know the details behind it? Probably not.
Yeah.
You know, I got to really, they owed us money for that water, and these guys are like, whoa, wait a minute, what? You know what I mean? Did they tell them?
$26?
Probably not.
You know what I mean?
Probably not. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It's just unbelievable to me. But that's the day and age we're living in right now. And, you know, hopefully we pop out of it sooner or later.
Yeah.
Now, how did your company deal with the pandemic? Did you have to shut down? I would assume, knowing what I do know of you, I highly doubt that you shut anything down.
We took proper precautions.
Right.
We totally took all the proper precautions.
Good for you.
No, I was an essential business.
And stuff, yeah.
No, I was an essential business.
Oh,
so
yeah?
it never affected me. The other way around, once that hit, people finally saw the world the way I saw it. I've been running and screaming from the rooftops for long enough, like, hey, this society, this veil of security you have is real thin. Like, keep yourself prepared, you know? It's like, some of my kids at times are like, oh, daddy, you're always on a thing, you know what I mean? But then all of a sudden, everybody was like, whoa.
Daddy was right.
This thing go to hell real fast, and it ain't too far away, so let me prepare myself. So business boom for me. I was, look at 8 million new owners of different types of weapons in 1 year, and that's continuing. Ammunition, all that type of stuff. Like it's all through the roof. But
congratulations.
The biggest thing
She's
has been, of course, she is a big part.
I'd be a dickhead if I didn't say congratulations to the wifey too. You think I want woman problems?
There you go.
I got plenty of them.
There you go. I'll take her to dinner afterwards. I'll make up for it. So yeah, business has been great, but you know what I feel is people are just getting more real and honest at a certain level, you know, and it's like, well, I need this, and I respect those people. I know guys with $50,000 and $60,000 worth of guns and won't spend $200 on training. We're like, look at this thing, oh, look at this thing, and they'll shoot, and they're, you know, out there with their big dick contest, and I'm like, you know what, buy one gun and put $10,000 into training.
You know how I can relate to that? Because if you watched baseball back in the day, right, all these guys are on tons of juice.
Right.
But none of them are on anti-estrogens. So they'll spend $500,000 on juice, but not get any anti-estrogens. And then their face is the size of the moon, right? And then when they stop, their brains are all messed up and they're a different color.
Yes.
If you've seen, I like Sammy Sosa, by the way, but he's a different color. I like him. I like him. I do. But he's a different color.
I remember when I saw his picture, I was like, whoa.
Somebody told me. I'm like, what? And I looked and I go,
yeah.
What?
Yeah.
But it's the same thing with that. They would, you know, they'll go spend $500,000 on juice for 10 years, but not take, you know, another thing with it to counteract the effects of it.
Correct.
It's unbelievable. It's identical to what you're talking about.
Identical, you know, but good thing is people are waking up once they take you still have a series of courses, 1, 2, 3, 4. Everybody starts at 1. I don't care. Sometimes people are like, I shot before, and it's like, yeah, I'm not
you shot before.
Yeah, no, maybe you did.
Rob,
but
can you pull up the homepage and we'll go through the levels?
Fair enough.
Because you break it down. Scroll up. Okay, so go down.
Courses there.
Go to courses.
There you go.
And go
Level
to
one.
level 1.
Yeah.
Click on level 1.
So with this, you do get this satisfies the educational
Scroll
requirements in Florida to get your concealed carry permit. You still got to file with the state and go through all those requirements. But this is the educational requirement, if you will. Yeah. What do? What do we start here? We start the morning with threat indicators.
What's a threat? Like, give me like an example of a threat indicator.
Some guy acting shady, you know what I mean? What I would call shady. I'll give you a quick one.
Like a mark?
No, watch this. So, if somebody's jawing at you, hey man, give me some money, do this, do that, right? People don't talk and punch at the same time, so they always do this right before they punch. They'll take a breath in, and they always give that last look. You notice they go, boom, and then a big overhand right
shot.
comes over, and a cheap shot comes at you. You understand what I mean? That's a threat indicator. Like, how do people do that? When you see them do this, well, then you strike first. That's one quick example in a face-to-face thing. But we show real-life video security footage of, unfortunate incidents. And it's like, look, this is how the criminal animal mind / works at this moment. This is how to recognize it. When you look at the Discovery Channel, do you know what a gazelle is? We teach you not to be the gazelle. Because that's what you look like to criminals if you're not trained or if you're not paying attention. You understand? So we train you how to do that. We get a lot more into the psyche of it, yours and theirs. So you're like, whoa, now I can recognize it. Man, I see that and I see myself, and how to listen to this intuition, this thousands of years of evolution a lot more. And then we get into some hand-to-hand. You got to fight to get the gun sometimes. You understand what I mean? Maybe
Sure.
you don't have all this great space like, oh, I see the threat coming. Okay, here it comes. I got plenty of time. Let me prepare myself. Let me do this. No, violence happens quick. So sometimes you got to have these. And that builds people's courage and power within themselves, because people are like, well, what if it was a big guy? I'm a woman. I'm a this. I'm a that. And we teach you, technique wins in some of those techniques. So we build that. Okay, if I had nothing, I got weapons of opportunity. I've got this big glass bottle. I've got other things. I'm not just unarmed.
A piece of metal.
And that all comes from heart. So we build the courage and heart, if you will. And then
so one would be like the foundation mentally and physically to an extent.
100%, 1,000%.
So you're building the base, how to deal with things, how to recognize, and then you begin to look at your surroundings differently than you had prior.
Correct.
Right. So then once you get that down, because you need the foundation, you got to know what to look for.
Correct.
You got to know the hardware.
Yeah.
And the software.
Yep.
Right. And then you would go to level 2.
Correct. So we teach it. We say, you win 100% of fights you're never in. So the foundation is recognize it. 2, if you got to get in that scenario, you're more proactive. You're not reactive. You're not just at the ATM. Bang! Somebody puts a gun in your head. Uh-oh. I'm swimming in heavy seas with a short snorkel and I can't breathe. Now I got to get out of this. No, we teach you how to have space to be more proactive and move and keep space and be a lot safer.
And also, Alex, if you build that foundation, you can also avoid conflict, because you now can look and see the surroundings, and instead of going to that particular gas station, you know what you're looking for. You just go into another one.
1,000%.
That's great.
That's exactly what we get into. And outside of that skill, I pray none of my students ever have to use any of the skills I teach them outside of avoidance.
Sure.
I pray, hey, I recognize that. I'm out of here. Good. Everything's good. I can go back about my day. Boom. Keep it moving. Does that make
And your
sense?
goal, your actual goal is to avoid.
Well, it's to win.
To win. But what I mean is...
No, if avoidance is winning, then it's avoidance.
Yeah.
And if winning is winning, then it's
right.
winning.
I'm not talking about like you're already in the situation.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
Avoiding a negative situation
1,000%.
that's possible, because if you're not trained right, you don't even know what you're walking into. But if you are, like I said, you can say, I'll go somewhere else, or
1,000%.
It's time for me to leave, before you do have to use the skills that you provide through your courses.
1,000%. Exactly.
And real quick, do you think sometimes a lot of people nowadays, they're like on their cell phones, so they're not aware of their surroundings, so they put themselves sometimes in bad situations where if they weren't on that cell phone, if they weren't looking, they could have seen things.
That is one thing that we do. However, the biggest distractor is, even before cell phones, I had to teach this to people. Why? The biggest distractor is your mind does something called masking. So if a dog walks in a room and somebody's cooking chili, you go, oh, nice chili. The dog says, oh, man, that's a pot of beans, garlic, onion. It doesn't conglomerate. Understand? So us as humans, we only hear the loudest thing or smell the most obnoxious thing. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Well, if that's the thoughts in your head when you're walking down the road, there's information coming to you all the time, but you're filtering it out. You're telling your brain and everything else, that's not important. I'm thinking about Becky at the high school dance. Boom, then you get attacked. The biggest distraction is your own damn thoughts. And that is projected onto an electronic device now, but that's been quite a bit. You understand what I mean? That's been human history. Does that make sense?
I went to school in Philly, and I used to take the subway to work down in Center City.
Yeah.
I used to get on there, and this is going back, however many years now, but I would always just look at people around me, and like there'd be sometimes I'd get that feeling about some guy or whatever, and I would just focus on that. And nothing ever happened to me, but it was just one of those, that gut feeling.
Well, nature's nature. It's called a concrete jungle for a reason. You learn a lot on subways. You know what I mean? You learn a lot in those environments where that stimulus is coming at you. Does that make sense? And good on you on doing that. But however, a lot of people don't, or they feel that and then they talk themselves out of it. Oh, you're always thinking that. Oh, don't label anybody. Don't be this. Don't be that. You start talking yourself out of your own nature, and that's the worst thing to do.
I see that a lot. Like when I sit down, I have this. Even before I met you, he turned me a little bit OCD with this shit. But I always have to sit where I can see the door. I have to sit, like if I'm going out to dinner, I go nuts. If I'm facing this way and I can't see who's coming in and out, just naturally with me, it drives me nuts. I have to see.
Yeah, and well, you can see with your eyes, and you also learn to see how with other things, and it depends who I'm with. A lot of times I will, but it depends who I'm with. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense? Like,
well, yeah, if you're with another guy like yourself.
So I've known
sure.
people that, my students or people I train with, and I'm like, okay, we got all angles covered, and we train in public environments, and we train in other areas, you know what I mean? And, when I'm with Marines and stuff like that, so yes, by myself, I would agree with that. But then, it depends who I'm with on what seat I take.
Just go out to anywhere from here to Jupiter. Just go out anywhere you want. Believe me. There are about guys like you that are around you.
Yeah.
One in what? 10,000
yeah,
in a 10-mile radius.
Exactly. I agree. I guess I'm spoiled because I train them all.
Yeah.
A bit spoiled.
So now when you get on a subway, what goes through your mind? So Alex gets on the subway, you sit down. As you're walking in, what are you thinking? What runs through your mind?
It's not a thinking process.
No?
It's the opposite.
What is it? I mean,
you can observe something without thinking about it. See, I can look at this thing. The top of this thing is red. Now I can say, okay, that's red. I observed it, right? I can say, I don't know why he did red. I think blue would have been better. This shit doesn't match the table. Now I'm judging it.
Okay.
Now I'm stuck in judging.
I got it to match your shirt. I was psychic. I knew you were going to wear red today.
Okay, I'll blame the Pellegrino bottle. I want you to take it so personal.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I know. I'm kidding. So, I
copied
observe.
Off Rogan.
There you go. I observe what's going on. Like, okay, there's all of this. And then I listen to this thing, gut a lot more. Like, that shit don't feel right. The hairs are standing up on the back of my neck. I'm out. I've trained myself. If I feel a certain way, I'm out. Or, okay, if I'm in this scenario, an elevator, I can't get off to the next stop, well, then I'm scanning hardcore. I'm hyper attentive. Okay, where's it coming from? What is it? I'm just scanning. Does that make sense? I've been with my wife, and we're walking on, we're on vacation in South Carolina. I was walking. All of a sudden, literally, my ears poked up, and I said, no, I'm crossing the street. And I grab her hand, we cross the street. We get down to the end of the block, and there was 5 or 6 young men, thugs, probing people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Messing with people and probing them. You know what I mean? That happened a block and a half before I got there. That wasn't sight.
Well, like you said, over time with evolution.
And you keep, and the more you trust it and the more you train it, the better it works for you, just like a good dog. Does that make sense? And I'm not getting all esoteric and be like, just walk around and feel. No. There is visible cues, which we train you in, but then there's also that super valid. It's like, I don't feel right. We'll move. What's the worst case scenario? You just moved.
Well, you have to walk another block, or you get off the elevator and have to wait 20 seconds for it to come back.
And
right?
one of the main things, and also situational awareness especially, is breaking up your patterns. You know, we're habit people, man. Break up your patterns. If you feel a certain way and you walk this way all of a sudden, we just broke up a pattern. You don't know what that was. Maybe somebody's stalking you. Maybe somebody's looking. Maybe they see your pattern, all of a sudden you change up. Now they have to reformulate and recalculate.
Think how different things would be if we listened to our instincts. Because this all comes back to instincts. Everything goes back to instincts as far as that, right?
But you got to train them. If you don't train them, then
you don't know how to put
it
them into, what would be the right word? You don't know how to put it into action if you're not trained correctly, right? So if you have an instinct that this is wrong, but you don't know how to deal with instinct, then you wouldn't know how to apply it.
Call it original sin.
There you go.
What do I mean by that? If you don't train it, it's the snake. It's going to talk to you and tell you to do stupid things. But when you train it, it's higher self, something bigger than you.
Yeah, you shut the snake up, right?
Yeah. Exactly. You know what I mean? Like, how many people do horrible things in the name of love? But I love you. It's like, well, you don't even know what it is. Go through the damn process, build yourself up as a human being. Go through the sacred 7, you'll figure out, you know what I mean? Now you know where love is. Does that make sense? And that's the two part that comes in.
Because I'm one of those, I do believe that you can't love somebody until you love yourself. I believe
sure.
That. And it took me a long time to believe that because, you know,
yep.
but I think it's totally true.
I would agree.
So then you build the foundation, like we just discussed, and then you go to level 2.
Level 2 is 2 full, that level 1 is 1 8-hour day.
And this
level
is
2 is 2 8-hour days. Day number 1 is
go to course 2.
Courses, drop down level 2. So after level 1, you are a decent home shooter. Like, if you had to protect yourself in your home, you could take that shot. Yeah. After level 2, it's 2 full days. First day, 1 8 hours of hand-to-hand. Extreme close quarters combat. Like, somebody's trying to choke you, somebody's trying to get your wallet. You know, we do gun and knife defense. They're on top of you. One of the major things too, when you conceal carry,
elbow strikes. Go back up there, bro.
Yeah, how to hit. Some people don't even know really how to hit well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you know, as a concealed carry, fight or flight works for everybody. So let's say you start to draw your weapon. Well, when the bad guy sees that, guess what they do? They go after the weapon too. Understand? So you might have to fight to get the weapon. I can show you 100 videos of cops getting their weapons taken from them in that ground fight, all that type of stuff. The fight is for the gun. So we teach you how to fight to get to the draw.
At level 2, what is the one that people struggle with the most? I'm just gonna take a wild guess. I'm gonna say it has to be firing while you're moving. I would think. I would also think that people probably don't conceal their weapon correctly, and probably under pressure.
Under pressure.
Under pressure.
Yeah.
What would you have said?
Under pressure. People.
Under pressure.
Yeah,
F you.
Yeah.
Under pressure and in close quarters.
Yeah.
People
You know,
mess up
somebody,
under pressure.
12, 15 yards away and you can take the shot. You can breathe a certain way. That's one thing. Closer to me to you and you're trying to choke me and I got to do it from there. Even training that, it's like, you know, if I have a full draw, it's like there's a sound wave that comes off, but that's a little bit away from me. You know what I mean? If I got to start shooting here, well, then bullets are leaving from like right there. If I got to shoot from here, they're literally right next to me. There's a way to do that. But that pressure, physical sound wave pressure hits you completely different. And it's like, whoa, wait a minute. That was totally different. You know what I mean? Like that's not what I was used to. That's not what I'm used to at all, you know? So, and then I'm brilliant at adding pressure, I would say, to this scenario. Like, how do you operate under stress and duress? That's the one I want next to me. You know what I mean?
Hell yeah.
And there's only one way to do it, and that's to add it. And I'm not beating people up. Don't worry, I'm not. Maybe a little sometimes. Humor, you know. And I'm not trying to get everybody to be a special operations Marine. That's not my goal. What I'm doing is building people up. So if you come in and you're here, well, we're just going to improve from where you are. You understand what I mean? I've had, what was that lady from Georgia? She was like 86 or something, 82.
82?
I've had
That's
80-year-olds. Cool, do I treat the 80-year-old like the 21-year-old baseball player?
What, are
that
you giving her
I get,
elbows? Are you giving her elbows, Alex?
No, but she can shoot. You know
she
what?
probably can.
She showed up with a .357 revolver. She's like, my husband left me this hog leg. And I'm like, whoa.
Whoa, Grandma, hold on.
Let's get you something different. Let's get you something different. But she was...
that had to be cool as hell.
Oh, she was full of piss and vinegar. She was awesome.
Shout out to you, honey.
She was
keep
like,
it going, keep it going.
she's like, I'm taking this course because I'm going on a road trip. And I was like, whoa, she went driving across the country. See, you know
At
what I mean?
82,
80
that's
something.
so
She's like,
cool, bro.
My son tries to treat me like I'm crippled. I ain't crippled. I told him, get off of me. You know, like she's
Yeah,
like,
you got a
she's-
322 order.
And that's the lady.
Yo, her son probably has a video game or a video game controller. Grandma's got a 322. You
Yeah.
want to talk shit?
That's the lady you'll read about that like somebody tried to fuck with her and they're dead now. Like, yep,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
the
yeah,
lady
yeah,
that
yeah.
makes the top story right
Exactly.
there. Yeah.
So my point around that is, you know, I build people up from where they are. So I don't want people to come in. And I actually enjoy people with zero experience. It's even better. They don't have any bad habits. Just be willing to learn. Day 2 is all firearms. We're on the range. We're loading, we're shooting, we're loading, we're shooting. After that, you're fairly competent concealed carry. You want to put it on your person. You know how to draw. We do a lot of dry fire. We make it very safe. You can take those skills home, continue to practice, and you're very competent. You brought something up that I wanted. This is a perfect time to do it. It's like, oh, well, you might go get in that fight and you're not trained to do it. You understand what I mean? What I train my students is, let's say you're out in the world, you're a concealed carrier, or you're in your home. What your response is going to be your level of training, and that's why I train them. Does that make sense?
100%.
Okay. So let's say you do this one course. You've got 12, 18, 30 hours of training under your belt, something of that nature. Something happens in a grocery store. It's an active shooter scenario. Do you have the training and the wherewithal to deal with all that, to go and actually take that active shooter out? Or are you just going to barricade and use your weapon to kind of defend yourself in your most immediate surroundings? Probably your most immediate surroundings. Does that make sense? So people are like, oh, am I going to run out and do this and save the world? Not after the 3rd day. You know what I mean? Like, maybe not after day 3. You know what I'm saying? Like, but you're defending yourself and your family. So your response depends on your level of training.
Now, this sounds a little bit tough. Is there a lot of times where people have to go through it more than once? Because you're not just going to give them a trophy like they do now? Like everybody gets trophies in high school now?
I definitely don't give them a trophy. However, no man left behind. We have very small classes and a lot of instructors / safety officers, okay? Reason is we don't want you practicing something wrong too many times. So we do a lot of corrections quick. If you're off, we don't let it happen. If you do something wrong 10 times, well, now you got to do it 40 times to get it right, to undo that 10.
Right.
You understand what I mean?
Absolutely.
So we catch it quick, and we have very small classes.
Because if you wait till the 40, now you got to beat it out
Now you gotta
40
beat it.
times to
You
do
gotta
it
go
the
back
right way.
way back, exactly.
Right. So you're very on top of things,
So
and
we're
that's
on
why
top
you
of
keep it
things.
small.
Correct.
Great.
And the biggest thing, of course, we have some people advance and get things faster than others, et cetera, et cetera. If we got to take somebody off to the side, give them some remedial, work with them, we'll do that. You know, my goal is to get everybody to learn and grow. Yeah. The one thing that'll really just, where I pull the plug and you got to go is safety. If you're not paying attention with safety, then, okay, if you're unsafe and you can't pay attention, if you're so broke you can't pay attention, whoosh, I don't care about the money, I don't care about nothing, you're out of here.
Because you're putting everybody at risk then.
For sure. You know what I mean? For sure. So that's the number one. If it's like you're not quite getting something, we'll make sure you get there to the next level for you. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
And to a sufficient level that you can actually get the job done. I'm not putting anybody out in the world that I train and they're like, man, this thing happened and you didn't tell me. And I was like, no, I'm going to train you right for sure. You know what I mean? So biggest thing is safety is if we got to call it a day. Other than that, we really give people a lot of attention. We give people a lot of attention.
And then level 3 is when you step in and a bunch of other former Marines step in. So level 3, you're dealing with the heavyweights now, right?
Level 3 gets fun for sure.
Put level 3 on the courses.
Yeah. So there's a Marine I worked with. He went into, it's called Fast Team, Fleet Anti-Terrorism Security Teams. Basically embassies, diplomatic security, those types of things. He was in the Middle East. I won't say all the places he was at. However, we reconnected after a few years of just being disconnected for a little bit. We reconnected and, I was doing this business. We talked about his experience and I said, hey man, we call that high value assets. Like, oh, I got this HVAT or I got this dip I got to go take care of. I got these things to do. And I said, well, if we did a course for the civilians, like screw it. Why do we save these skills for what we consider, what are considered by government high value. Well, I consider you high value. You got a wife and kid that I met the missus. I haven't met your kid yet. I deal with people all the time. I consider these people I deal with and shake hands with more high value than somebody that's flying off some country that's a diplomat in my world. And he's like, hey, brother, I agree with you. I said, well, yeah. So he said, well, if you had no restrictions of curriculum, government, nobody's telling what you do, we're going to start at a blank slate. What's the most important thing you think, the foundation, what a civilian would need to travel in a certain way and conduct themselves in life and to the next level like this? And this is what we came up with. Level 3 active shooter responses, how to conduct vehicle searches for your own safety while traveling abroad. Listen, just as an American, when you travel, you're a high value target, period.
That's so important because there's a lot of plants in there. And when you rent a car, I know friends of mine that got in the wrong car and things didn't go so well. Seriously.
Exactly.
In Cayuchi, in another country.
Yeah.
And the other one.
So they do it for a few reasons. Blackmail you, hey, give us whatever, we'll make it go away. Or sometimes you're the mule. They want you to go drive here, there. You don't know it's there. All of a sudden you're
stuck. The mule and don't know it.
That's my
you
point.
You just happen to rent this car. They're following it. You know what I mean?
100%.
And now it's in your possession, so it kind of like layers them, right?
100%. 100%.
That's cool.
So, more situational awareness in different dynamic environments. This is 2 full days also. A lot of no shoot scenarios. We train this at a place that's basically like a whole city, if you will. There's a whole city. There's multiple buildings. There's a library. There's a auditorium. There's a church on it. It's all just for training though. So when we train this, now we're getting in the real world. Like, oh snap! How do I move in buildings? How do I do this? How do I shoot and move around cars? Okay, I'm in this foreign, not even a foreign country. I'm here in this country. There's a riot or a carjacking. Boom, I'm in this carjacking. My car's disabled. How do I get myself and my family to safety? How do I do that on the move? How do I communicate with my family? How do I shoot and move? How do I use the car as a weapon, et cetera, et cetera?
How hard is that to train? Like if a person's right-handed and you're trying to teach them to use the left hand, but for 30, 40 years, all they used was the right hand. How hard is that? That's like hard. A left-handed layup.
It's not hard at all.
No?
No. Can I prove my point? This is not safe for work. It's not kid safe, right? I don't think any kids are going to do this. Right? All right, I'm just going to put it out there. Yeah, most guys could jerk off with both hands. You'll be all right.
Yeah, right. And if you're not, you should start being a switch hitter, right?
Yeah, you know what I mean? See, he liked that one. He knew it too.
Yeah.
No, it's all about technique. It's all about technique. A natural point of aim. Some people start shooting a lot better with their left hand because they'll think about it. They're like, oh, I got to think about the trigger. I've got to think about how I hold it. And there's a little bit of
you're more accurate.
Yeah, you're like, well, this is my weak hand, so all of a sudden you start gripping it better. And then you pull the trigger and you're more precise with the little functions on the left. You're like, damn, I shoot better with my left hand. Who would have thought? You know what I mean?
Makes sense, yeah, because you're more aware, right? Because you're using something you're not comfortable with.
Exactly. You're just more attentive on it. Yeah.
And this one's 2 days.
2 full days.
2 full days.
Yeah. We have the option of staying in that city. There's townhouses, and most of the people do stay with us. We like barbecue at night, break bread, get up in the morning, do the next day. It's a really fun weekend.
Absolutely. So now through all that, then you come with the PTS-Awesome. So how are we going to push this and patent this, Alex?
Man,
I'm not.
I think so, man. I think it's just sitting down with people and letting them know, first and foremost, as much as you want to believe it or not, there ain't nothing wrong with you.
No.
You know what I mean? Like,
I agree with you 100%. And I have flashbacks. I have nightmares all the time. All the time. I wake up soaking wet all the time. There's nothing wrong with me. I don't have I wasn't born waking up with sweats and flashbacks and bad dreams. I've been through shit in my life that created this, right? And I think, and later on in life, I had anxiety, absolutely terrible, because you can only hold shit in for so long. Sometime, some way, somehow, it's coming out. And with me, it was anxiety, but I had to hide it from everybody because I didn't want to look weak. So I would run out to the car like a little girl. No offense. Well, I felt like weak. Like, Mom, I'm shaking. I can't breathe. Meanwhile, I'm hanging out with heavy hitters, so they can't see that.
Yeah.
So that was real tough for me. And
Mhm.
eventually I had gotten over it, but it sucks.
Yeah.
It's a real pain in the ass.
I mean, we're all human, you know. I respect Mike Tyson where he's at and when he's coming through, and it's like he's on enough now.
He's
Say,
about to
look,
fuck shit up.
yeah, I was scared, you know. He's like, I was scared before every fight. He's like, I cried before every fight. And I was watching one interview. He's like, well, you know, I was that mean, I was that violent, just because I didn't want people to know how scared I was.
Yeah, I saw that.
You know what I mean? Like that's probably about as honest as it gets. You know what I mean?
Well,
So
he definitely
but-
took it out in the ring in his prime. You
and
don't want that,
everywhere
boy.
else. I mean, he took it out everywhere in his prime. It didn't matter if he was in the ring or not. He was
Yeah.
cracking heads. It didn't matter. You know what I mean?
You
But
you didn't want that.
you know, that's the type of men I grew up with.
Yeah. Shit.
But you know, what's my point around that PTS-Awesome? There's nothing wrong. We're human having a human experience. You've had an experience that's unique to you. Even the guys I served with, maybe we were in the same place, but they have their own point of view and their own memories. Sometimes we get together and they're like, you remember that place and this thing? I was like, damn, dude, I don't even remember that, dude. You know what I mean? Like, so they have their whole experience of what they have, you know? And, you know, could you just pull up that Joseph Campbell Hero's Journey?
Joseph Campbell's Hero's Journey.
Yeah, it's a hero's journey, Joseph Campbell. So, and the reason is, you know, where we're at on that cycle is at a certain, go to images. And I'll pick one out from here. Let's make it a simple one. Keep, no, go down. Yeah, the one that's drawn like crayons. Exactly, that's my style.
Okay. And if
you
you're
know,
listening
something
right
like
now,
that.
we just put up The Hero's Journey by Joseph Campbell.
Yeah, it starts like a call to adventure. Everybody goes in, you know, in the military. It's like, I got this calling. I want to do it. You know, some guys go for college, or girls, whatever it may be. Some people go for college, or they go for financial reasons, whatever that may be, you know. I would say people that end up in what we call direct action, they have some type of calling. You know what I mean? Like you want to go in. There's things you want to do, whether that be for your country. If you just want to run and gun, you want to be, you know, that type of person. You got to go meeting a mentor, drill instructor, sergeant, something of that nature.
He even says, be it Star Wars, The Matrix, Spider-Man, or
All
any
of
other
those.
superhero or non-superhero fiction, the very same pattern is employed, and yet every time it is used, content creators are able to monetize it. That's interesting as well as astonishing that the repetition does not tend to disengage people in any way. Wow.
Correct, you know. And then look at this, crossing a threshold, boot camp, something of that nature. The next step says trials and failures. You know how many times you mess up, growth, new skills. Look at the bottom. It's got tentacles here in this for people that are just listening. There's tentacles like the belly of the beast, the octopus that's pulling you down, death and rebirth.
You know how smart an octopus is? Super smart.
Super smart, yeah. You know, some revelations, finally changes, at-one-ment or atonement.
What the hell does that mean?
Atonement's like, okay, I'm good with everything that happened. Look at your buddy that unfortunately that just passed here not too long ago. He never got good with himself. This happened to me. This happened to those guys. You know what? I got to get to this peaceful place and be one with it if you want to get Buddhist or something like that. Atonement. Hey, you know what? I am where I am. To me, you know, after that atonement, it says gets gifts. What does that gifts mean? It's, you know, it means you start to get on purpose. You feel blessed.
Well, isn't everything in life a gift in some way or shape?
But how many
or
guys
form?
feel guilty for that gift called life because others are not here?
True.
Survivor's guilt, they call it.
Yeah. Well, that's Cruz. I mean, I had him in, what was it, about 3 months before he passed away, the guy I was telling you about.
Mhm.
And I had already, like I had told you, when he was working for me with the engineering firm, and I had already knew how important the guy that was left behind was. But when he had come in here and he wanted to do an interview,
Mhm.
and I knew it was going to get a little bit rough because I knew where it was headed. But for whatever reason, he wanted to. So I said, all right, you know, I'm fine. You know, you sure. And when we pulled up pictures of him, it was Kuwait that he was lost in, right? When I was around him, I tried not to bring it up, but it was like, what, 2 months he was stuck in them?
Korean.
Oh, it was Korean.
I think Korean.
South Korea?
Korean War.
Was he an older guy?
Yeah, he was 58, 59.
Was it Korean? I think it was Korean.
Well, wherever he was, but he was stuck in
50s
them
would have been
wars.
Korea would have been like 80s now.
I think that's when he was in.
He must have been
80s.
in his 80s.
Yeah.
Not 50s. He's like late 70s, early 80s. He'd be in his 80s now.
Yeah, but he broke down. I mean,
Yeah.
broke down. I mean, just porn. I mean,
Sure.
he had a little bit before,
That's
but
good.
that's how he dealt with, the situation. Not knocking him or anything. I mean, he was a great guy.
Yeah.
We butted heads a few times, but who doesn't, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But I knew I could count on him if I needed him, if his head was right.
Got
if
it.
he was, all fucked up on things, and that's what led to some issues with the engineering. But that was business, not friendship, and he's apologized for a little BS that had happened, and had he got the help, it might have went a different direction, or maybe not. Who knows? But I just think that this idea, because when you say to a depressed person like John was,
Mhm.
right, he was clearly, and he would admit it to you, right?
Sure.
He would tell you, I don't know how I get through the day.
Yes.
And if you would say to him, John, you have post-traumatic stress disorder,
Mm-hmm.
he would take that so fucking personal, he'd want to jump off the building. To call a guy like him to say he has a disorder, this man was stuck in the middle of nowhere. Nobody knew where he was. 80s, 90s, whenever it was. And somebody's not happy.
Somebody's at the door.
Oh.
Somebody walked in the hallway.
They'll live. And so, he was, where was I at?
The
How could I-
PTSD is like calling somebody this disorder.
Yeah, when you call him a disorder, I mean, he was just absolutely lose it.
Yeah.
Because here you already have a damaged person. He's already damaged. He's not getting the help needed. Probably doesn't know how to. Okay, and then you tell him he's got a disorder.
Yeah.
An extreme alpha male to the alpha. I mean,
Yeah,
you can't make alpha big enough for this guy. He was alpha. Then you cut his overtime at the. I knew he was done. Like I was telling you last time, when they cut his overtime at the VA, because that was his home. That was his brother's, and he felt comfortable. When they cut that, I knew. Didn't I tell you? I said, it's a matter of time.
Yeah.
But how do we get that disorder out of the bullshit?
We're doing it now.
Good,
There's
man.
two things. It's
Anything
like-
I could do to help with that, I
appreciate that.
I would love to.
Yeah, when I called you on it, you were right up. Yeah, let's do it. That was like yesterday or day
Yeah.
before or something. I called you. Anyways, and there's two ways that people come up to me at times. They might see me and they're like, "Thank you for your service," and it's like there's this pity face almost. I'm like, "Man, get the hell off of me," you know what I mean? And it's like, no, I'm not looking for pity. I've never even told my story till recently of like places I grew up, things that may have happened or stuff like that. I don't want no pity. I'm the American dream. You know what I mean? You want to be an example? I am the American dream.
And by you saying that, anybody who's watching or listening, if that's a person that did it because they chose to do it, they loved what they were doing, and now they're paying it forward what you learned. Because you're not out saying, hey, I'm Alex, and I did this, and I did that, and I was here, and here, there.
Yeah.
I mean, how many years did you wait to really say anything other than, hey,
Probably 15,
I train? That's a long time.
Yeah,
right?
maybe 15 years, If you just pull that up again, because here's probably the crux of it right here. See, that gets gifts,
Yeah.
And then return to changed person and go to the end. Do me a favor, go back to where the images were, because there's one right at that gets gifts. They usually show like a refusal or something of that nature. No, keep going. There we go.
This one?
Yeah. There it is. See? This is a more traditional, this is the more accurate way. It's got more steps in it. The other one was cartoonish.
Mm-hmm.
Death of mentor, a lot of ordeal. There's a road back, and then there's a refusal to return. You start on your way back. You've got this gift called life, but some of your other brothers and sisters didn't, or others around you didn't, or even the enemy didn't. And you're like, whoa, that's what is, psychologists call survivor's guilt. That happens in car accidents. Let's say there's a car accident, and all your friends die in a car accident, and you're like the last one there. You're like, why me? What the hell is so special
See, there
about me?
again, you have the therapist saying survivor's guilt. I like the return better. I mean, refusal to return. If somebody's already having trouble coming back, I just, me personally, and when I went through the anxiety shit, the last thing you want to hear is disorder or, you're this, you're that.
Yeah.
But if you say, hey, refusal to return. there's no sensitiveness in that. You know, it's
100%.
It's just you're refusing. Hey, look, this happened. Whether it's a car crash,
I'm not
whether
ready
you're
to
in the
come back.
military,
I'm not ready to come back.
whether you lost $10 million and you have $1. Okay, you got to come back. You have $1.
Yep.
Now let's see how we can get 1,000 and
Yep.
then 10,000. You know,
Yeah, exactly.
and that's awesome. When I saw that on your bio thing, that and of course the PT-Awesome, or PS whatever.
Yeah.
But that is awesome because that is the problem. Because even myself, the trauma that I've been through, nothing like you guys. Shit, my things is just little stuff. But even the tiny things that I've been through. If somebody would say to me, like I said, disorder, these things, it would affect me because I'm hurting inside, but I'm hiding it. I'm bearing it. But if you say refusal to return, I bet you I would have beat that anxiety 15 years ago.
Right, exactly. Like,
I'm being dead serious.
I feel you, and I know you are. I know when we joke, and I know when you're serious. But so you asked me what atonement was. Well, it's that. You just be at one with your own experiences. Forget, I didn't go what you went through. I also did the same thing for a long time because I didn't feel I had the right to bitch or even talk to anybody about it. Why? Because I wasn't guys like World War II. I mean, to drop a ramp and run and just seeing thousands of people and all your buddies fall. I was like, well, I did what I did, but I didn't do that, so I ain't got no room to bitch or even feel for myself. So, I put my own experiences to the side, whatever they may be.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? So what you're speaking, I did for the longest time also. And that just holds it in place. So that atonement is being at one. Hey, you had your experiences. Don't mean nothing to me. It don't mean nothing to nobody else. But it means a lot to you.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I mean? So don't discount it for what it was because it's different than a lot of others.
And the principle is the same. When you revert back, the principle is the principle.
It's still
no matter what it is.
It's still the same.
Because it affects you. You're the person. It doesn't matter if it was a
Yeah.
car accident or, you...
A helicopter
friend
accident.
died, something happened. It affects the person.
Right.
themselves.
Exactly.
And it all goes back to the initial principle
Right.
that Alex brought up: the refusal to return, the mind,
I've met
everything.
a good Vietnam vet. When I met him, so he had a necklace on, like
It's Vietnam.
same dog tag or whatever, right? And there were still the pull rings. If anybody knows what a grenade is, you got to pull this little ring off and then like throw it, and then you throw it. So that's the safety on it, like a fire extinguisher or something like that, trying to explain to people that never saw a grenade. Well, on his necklace was all these pull rings from Vietnam. Talk about a refusal to return. He walked around his life with that shit around his neck.
Well, at least Christmas time, he didn't have to do jingle bells. He could just go like that, right?
You talk about walking with the weight around your neck, literally. And the only ones he saved is the ones he threw in a hole. And he knew he killed somebody, so he walked around with those lives on his neck, literally. You know what I mean?
Now, do you think he should keep that on? Just from your experience,
No.
not saying what somebody.
I say
should
he
do.
needs to do what he needs to do, and I ain't in no business of telling nobody what to do. You know what I mean? Seriously, in that level. But
Great
that was
answer,
also
because there's too many people telling people what.
But yeah, look, you got to wear that, and that's what you got to do for a little bit. Hey, man.
Go ahead.
And it worked itself out. He doesn't necessarily do it anymore. But that's also that refusal to return. It's like, no, his ass and his psyche was still there. He raised a good family, went out in business, had a good life, from outside. He got back in the world and he raised his family. Does that make sense? But it was a major part of his psyche that was still there. He actually went back to Vietnam recently on a trip with a bunch of vets, and that was good for him.
Really?
Yeah, a fair amount are doing that. So refusal to return, and I feel that that's where a lot of this suicide and a lot of the PTSD and then you're right, when you just tell people, hey man, oh yeah, it's a disorder, then there's no way out. The worst thing to do with somebody that's pissed off is tell them to calm down.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
Oh, you just to totally calm down.
Relax. Fuck off.
Yeah. You know what I do? You want me to calm down? Okay. Here's this arm bars through the window.
Yeah. Here's calm and here's down.
Right. Calm down. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's how I feel the PTSD. Well, you got PTSD, and it's like, no way, dude. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
And some have no other way to label what they're going through, so they're like, oh, okay, this is what I have, and now I have to go from this place, and I have to deal with these things. You understand what I mean? So, there's some programming in there. Even General Mattis he hates that term. He's like, you guys are you men and women, you Marines service members are not broken. You understand what I mean? It's from a higher level. It's like once you do come back around, then it's the ultimate reward. And
Where do you throw temptation in that circle? when they say temptation, now that's a very wide word, but when we're talking about what we're talking about and trying to correct a situation for society, basically, if I'm saying that right.
Yes.
Where does the temptation fall in? Because that's a real loose kind of word.
That's different for every person, but that's original sin right there, brother. That's that snake that whispers to you.
That's why I asked you that. So I wanted your answer because I don't have the answer.
I could be sitting here and be like, oh, man, I'm feeling a certain way. You know what? I'm going to fix this. This is going to be real smart. Yeah, I'm going to go to the bar. That's the smartest thing for me to do. Let me go get that bottle of Jack Daniels. It sounds like a really good idea.
Yeah.
You're like, man, that thing sounds like a good idea.
Have a good night
do
tonight.
that.
Yeah.
I feel better for a little bit, and then 3 days later, you're coming out of a hole going, "What in the fuck just happened?"
Yeah.
If you're lucky, it's 3 days.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
if you're not so lucky, it's 5 to 7.
well, yeah, you know what I
Not
mean.
that Alex and I would know.
Sometimes it might be a couple of years. You're like, what just happened to the last 3 years of my life? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or 5 years, and that's where that temptation, and whatever that is for you, and it's different for different people. You know what I mean? For sure. It might be, hell, sometimes for me, it was on my motorcycle, doing 190 down 95. Seemed like a really good idea at the time. I don't know why. Just that whisper was like, go faster. I was like, yeah, okay, that was a temptation.
Yeah, well, you hear that.
Wow.
And then you get the adrenaline and you're moving. I know.
Better,
I
yeah.
fell off my HR1 on the Schuylkill Expressway in Pennsylvania. Oh, yeah, right. It's a tight highway, Alex. And I was like you. 40 degrees out. I was going to get a girl. Wife beater on.
Temptation.
Yeah, like a lunatic.
The
Ripped,
ultimate.
ripped though, by the way, ripped.
Yeah,
Super
yeah,
ripped.
yeah.
Wife beater on, jeans, 40 degrees out, like ski goggles on, so I could see. It was crazy, dude. I was absolutely insane, and I mean gunning it.
Mm-hmm.
And on my way, I had a swivel. I was just going because I would do it all the time because the drive there was like 40 minutes, but on a bike. Fuck, you're not catching me on 1200, buddy.
Yeah.
1200 cc. Get there, I could get from where I was in Pennsylvania, 15 minutes.
Yeah, easy.
Maybe 20 minutes,
Yeah.
With a couple, if I didn't want to die,
Right.
But the one time I was gunning it, I could have died, and I swerved and I fell off, and I said, okay, I'm done with bikes. That's enough for me. Because I was just too crazy for it. My mind's nuts, so I can't just go, I don't know how somebody can go 65 on a 1200cc crotch rocket.
Yeah,
that's just like,
I went down a few
I
times.
also just get a bicycle.
So,
So now, how are you pushing the PTS-Awesome?
this is really
Super important.
there's myself, my Mrs. Samantha also has aligned a series of articles coming out, a few other podcasts, things of that nature, and it's just the response everybody started talking it to. I just kind of look in this PTSD thing. It's like, and I'm not taking anything away from anybody's trauma, but it's a goddamn buzzword, I swear, because I'm teaching people and I always ask, okay, is there anything I need to know about before we get started in this class? Because if somebody has some hidden trauma, we get into hand to hand and they're like crack, you know what I mean?
Let me know, please.
You know what I mean? But it's good to deal with and understand, and so I know what place we're starting at. And then recently, it's just every single class, after classes, I got PTSD. I had a flat tire when I was 12, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, not PTSD.
You know what the craziest thing is? You know what the craziest thing? You're not kidding. There are people like that they have a flat tire and they feel like they have or their boyfriend cheated on them. You have post-traumatic. No, you're mad because your boyfriend cheated on you or your girlfriend cheated on you. Now you have a fucking disorder. Now you can't leave the house?
All the above, So there's two reasons why I started, and one is that it's becoming too much of a bastardized buzzword. It's just a new thing in psychology. Okay, you had that happen. Here, PTSD, take these, go to sleep.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Take these to go to sleep, and then also take this for the side effects to that. Right. And then when that's off, let's give you something stronger so we can build the insurance even more. And next thing you know, you have you have those little pill things like A, B, C, D, E. You know what I mean? When really, if you just mentally work through it, through your class,
physically, exercise, eat right. There's a lot of things, and secondly, most important for me is, look, it's the first time I'm putting it out there to general public. I deal with this in my, within my courses. And this is the first time I'm really putting myself out there to say it. I wholly anticipate that, some vets are going to be in there and be pissed off, be like, no, dude, this thing is serious. It's stressful. I get that. There's some things that are horrible that you've all went through, and I'm not saying that. You understand what I mean? But on top of every one of those, as you learn through your own process to, let's say, process that and come and win on the other side of it, you will be more awesome and more capable to help other society. You understand? So I wholly expect to get some pushback at some place. But on the other side of it, I wholly expect that somebody hears this and was like, you know what, Alex? Fuck yeah, you're right. I'm just in the process of being more awesome, and I got to figure that out.
And even if you just touch one person, it's worth it, man. That could be a life.
1,000%. You understand? 1,000%. So, Samantha has a list of articles in different periodicals and some other podcasts and stuff, but you were number one.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate it. I do. And I'm into this. As I told you, after Tig, because I was really shocked with John Tigerman, because I expected him to come in kind of like tough, not really talkative. And then here's this guy that was left there. Do you want to talk about somebody who got screwed? He got screwed. And they leave him 13 hours in Benghazi, no help. They tell him to stand down when there's mortars coming, hitting buildings with diesel paint. Okay, mortar, diesel paint, not good. And they're getting the call to stand down. He makes the choice because he was in command. Fuck Bob, who was the state secretary at the time, telling him to stand down more than one mission. He has to go because it's coming left and right. They move around 13 hours, no help. It goes to the other people because they had, I'm not speaking for him, I'm just saying what he said with me. That actually this part, I'm what's it called when I take his
paraphrasing?
Words? I'm paraphrasing. So in my opinion, they sent help to the forces that they thought were going to live, expecting John and his guys to die. So they figured, well, these guys are dead anyway, so let's send the help over here. Well, they didn't die.
Yeah.
So then when they come back home, the media is telling a bullshit story. It's not what happened. So him and the three other guys, because they lost one or two.
Pronto, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so they write the book for the families, not for money.
Yeah.
He's just like you.
Yep.
Could care less about the money.
Right.
He wrote the book for the families.
Yep.
It makes New York Times bestseller. They put it in fiction.
Yeah.
Then they take it off the shelf.
Yep.
So then they come with the movie. Number one in the box office the first week. After 1 week, they pull the movie.
Yeah.
He can't even get his own book.
Yeah.
He has to order his own book from Amazon to get shipped to him so he can sign it, which all the money he makes, he donates to the vets, the U.S., the thing that you can't even put on YouTube, or you have to like break it up. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
It's fucking crazy. So here's a guy that does all this. Then you pull his book, and the only reason was the families. Then you pull his movie. Then that's done. You don't give him the back end, and he didn't even care. He was just done with it. Then after all of that, you come at him and put the book that they wrote in fiction. And that's when that really pissed him off.
Yeah.
But he was such a funny, jokingly guy.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, that man, he just got 2 hips done and fucking went to a fundraiser 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
I said, dude, are you crazy?
Yeah.
2 hip replacements and he's flying somewhere?
Mind over matter.
Whew.
You don't mind, it don't matter.
Yeah.
And so I went through some things here recently also that we spoke about a little bit. And I called a friend of mine. I was like, I can't fucking believe this country would do that to me, of all people. You understand? And he said, brother, it's not the country doing it to you, it's individuals. So even through all of that, a lot of us, some do. And I went up and down. There was a time I was like, this place, like when I first got out, I was quite, what's the word I'm looking for?
Rebel, maybe?
Pessimistic about it. I was just like, everything was horrible. I didn't give a shit about nothing. You know what I mean? Like, it was just my mind state at the time, For a few years, the government sucks, all nonsense. Nothing's ever going to change. I was just like apathetic and the world sucks, basically, and I transitioned out of that, obviously. And I'm
now,
on
how
the
did
other
you get
side
out
of
of
it.
that, though? How did you yourself transition out of that? What was it that, what was like, like they say with people with problems, like they hit rock bottom and then they pop out of it. I'm not saying you did that. I'm just saying, what did you do? What was it that like snapped? That says, I had, something that snapped that says, look, refusal to return. I'm back. I'm not refusing anymore. Here I am. What was it that snapped you out of that? Because it sounds like you had that.
Yeah, it wasn't one thing. It was like a series of things. But what kept pulling me out of, I would call it the darkness, is, one, I have daughters. You know, like no matter how bad it get, I was on the edge of a cliff about to go over. I was just like, you know, I gotta be a better man. You know, like whatever it is, I gotta be a better man. So that was a major one. And 2, just a voice going, Alex, you got more to do. There was just a voice inside of me saying I had more to do, that there was something to do, you know, and I was fighting it. I was trying, maybe not like I didn't put a bullet in my mouth, but I was definitely trying to kill myself. I took enough, you know, things and running my motorcycle and try and do stupid stuff that maybe it was an unconscious level of suicide, see how much I could push it, whatever, you know.
Just pushing everything to
everything.
the max, right?
And it was a series of that. Of course, the voice saying, hey, but once I decided, okay, I have something to do, then it just became more important. But, you know, I guess what I want to get out there, it's not like I just woke up one day and everything was like solid. No, it was a process, and there's good days and there's bad days, you know, but it just took at least the rudder. It's like, oh, I don't know what my purpose is, or I don't know what to do. Well, then your purpose is to find a purpose. Get up and just try stuff. Get up and just do stuff, and just stay in some actions. Just keep things moving forward, you know?
Yeah, I guess I asked that wrong for people that are listening. So what was the process of getting to that point? Because like you said, it's not just like you wake up and somebody says something to you and you snap out of it, right? It was a process. So what happened? Was it your daughters you said, or life, or stop talking to the voice? You said, okay, I need to make a change and I'm going to start the process.
Yes.
So that's sounding terrible.
Perfect. Valid. No. It was just, yeah, you know, it's just, yeah, it wasn't snappy. That's all I just wanted to correct with people. So, yeah, it was, I know I have to do something. I didn't always know what that was. A major component of it was being okay with wherever I was. Meaning, okay, well, I went down the Buddhist path for a little while. I tried that. I tried a lot of different things. Being Zen is not just sitting on the mountain and just and I'm in bliss. That's not being Zen. Being Zen, the better translation is, okay, be one with what you're doing. What does that mean? If I'm angry, well, I'm going to be angry. You know when anger gets out of control and you say, no, don't be angry. I'm pissed off. No, don't be angry. I'm pissed off. And it becomes a feedback loop. It's like you get too close to the mic on stage and it just screams at you.
Yeah, can you break down Zen for me? Because Phil Jackson, the coach of Lakers Bulls, he was huge with Zen. He would walk around, he would do the craziest stuff with Jordan and everybody.
Yeah.
And they would all talk about it and kind of make fun of it. But then later in life, they were like, wow.
Well, okay.
I mean, that was like the huge.
So for how I applied it to myself, I was angry. Well, then I would let myself be angry, but a bit more deliberately. All right, well, then I'm going to go hit a bag. I'm going to be pissed off. I'm going to scream it. I might look crazy in the gym, but then I'm going to go hit a bag and I'm going to scream it. You understand what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's Zen.
Release.
Okay. Hey,
right?
If I feel sad, and this is a big one, well, if I feel sad, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to cry my damn eyeballs out. I don't give a shit. Who cares?
And there's nothing wrong with that.
We say that, but it's like,
well, yeah, I'm saying that. But,
you know, what's the Bill Burr joke? Bill Burr's got a great skit, and he's told it many a time, so I'm not like joke stealing here or something. He's like, that's why guys die of a heart attack at 40, because they just can't hold a puppy and call it cute. You know what I mean? You're like, oh, this is a cute puppy, and your buddy's like, don't be a bang, don't be gay. You know what I mean? Start slapping you on the head. It's like, all right, I just can't admit a puppy's cute, so I die with this pain in my heart. You know.
Actually, a very good joke, but a very good point.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, the jester. There's a lot of honesty and humor. There's a lot of honesty and humor.
Bill Burr's pretty funny.
Mm-hmm.
He got really funny lately.
Now, how does that apply even to sports? Well, you know, for us, how many men, women, even whoever allow themselves to be what they want to be in that moment? No, it's always like, well, don't do it here, and don't do this, and don't do that. And listen, I understand we have some impulse control for a reason. You know, guys, if they didn't have impulse control, they would be grabbing, you know, tits and ass all day long, because they have to be like, oh, I'd like to do that, but no, I'm not going to do it right now. Like there's an appropriateness to things. You understand what I mean? But how often do people just let themselves feel whatever they want to feel in the moment? Or be deliberate about it. Hey, I'm going to go in a room and do this, or I'm going to go in my car and cry it out. I'm going to go over here and do this. No, it's like, no, don't do that. You'll be all right. No, don't feel like this. You'll be all right. No, don't do that. And then it just amplifies and it whips back around, and then all of a sudden it's like, man, I can't take this. I'm out of here, you know, from that. So how does that apply to sports? I see it in fighting. My main sport is like MMA, and there are certain guys that are amazing in the gym, but they can't win a fight in the ring to save their life. Understand? Now what hits them? Conor McGregor was great. He's like, I eat pressure for breakfast. Well, when they walk out there, oh, what are all these people thinking about me? What are their thoughts? The hardest part is their own psyche,
self, right?
their own self walking out there. What if you're just okay with that? Well, if I look like an asshole, I look like an asshole. Fuck it, I'm gonna go out here and fight. If I win, I win. If I lose, I lose. I'm gonna do this, but I'm gonna go out here and I'm gonna fight like there's no tomorrow. I'm gonna annihilate. I'm gonna fight. I'm a god, you know. But it's everything that's short of that keeps you busy.
Well, it makes sense because if you look at Phil Jackson and what he did, he would think of who he coached: Jordan, Pippen, Dennis Rodman. Okay, you got a lot of egos there. So he used Zen to bring them together. You know, he'd put them in a room. We're not practicing today. Today we're all going to sit. We're going to light incense, and we're going to do the Zen thing, whatever he did. And then he went from the Bulls to dealing with Kobe and Shaq fighting all the time. Zen. Now, somehow he got them to win a hell of a lot, and it worked.
Yeah.
You know, they call him the Zen master.
Yeah, exactly.
It was always interesting. I tried to get into it. Like, I tried to get into meditation a little bit. Just meditation I was able to do a few times, but for me, I don't have patience.
It all comes down to
Mind over matter. Yeah.
present moment awareness.
Yeah.
I think everybody's different, right? I think everybody. I have a friend. He served in Iraq, and he actually, I never knew it about him till years down the road. They'd actually did a story about him. He slept with a shotgun next to him every night. He had a loaded shotgun
For years?
For years. Never knew it. Guy played football with him, quietest kid, great guy.
Sound familiar, Alex, in the beginning?
Slept with a shotgun for 2 years straight. Every day he said he thought about just offing himself. And then he started to run, which he hated running. And he just started to go for runs and go for runs and go for runs. I guess it would clear his mind. And he ran enough that was what brought him out of his like dark point. And now he like runs marathons all the time. He just likes to do it. And he hated running. He absolutely hated running. But it was something one day he woke up. I guess he just went for a run. He just ran and he ran and he ran and he ran and he ran. And it just cleared his mind.
And if you look at Alex's classes, it seems like in a sense, part of it is finding like that spot that gets you out of that darkness. Like he said, they got running for that guy was the psyche, level 1, right? The foundation, figuring out what it is, where the weaknesses are, and then correcting them so you can go to level 2 and then level 3 to deal with you, which I'm sure is not fun.
You know the darkest place in the world to hang out? Up here.
You're fucking right, it is.
Anything
By yourself, too.
Anything you could do to get out into the world and experience something, if that's like kayaking, swimming on the beach, running. Running's a great one, though, because when you got to deal with yourself, but then you also got to direct your attention out. You're like, okay, I'm going to listen to any ultra marathon and see how do you get through that. And we're not even talking about marathons. We're talking about ultra marathons. They run 100 miles across like Death Valley, right?
How do they do that?
I just pick one place and I run to that. And then I pick another place and I run to that. And then I pick that next place and I run to that. And I don't think about my body. I don't think, if you start thinking, man, this is a long race, boom, you literally your muscles will cramp. You will stop. You just got to go, okay, I'm going to run. You just pick a point and you just keep running at that point. If that's not a meditation, I don't know what is.
How amazing is the mind and how strong it is. Now that you're into all this, Alex, I mean, or this is coming out of you now.
Yeah.
More probably properly to say. But I mean, how just crazy is that? You know, the mind has so much power. Like for me, I'm a lunatic. So I'll run on the treadmill. Like my fiance or if somebody comes over, I don't care who comes over. I have a routine every day. Yeah. It doesn't matter. I run, sauna, workout. And if my routine's broken, my day's fucked.
Okay.
But I wear 3 sweatshirts, sauna suit, 2 sweatpants, do 3 miles interval, like stop, start, stop, start. Go right from there, no food, over to the sauna at 140. But it's an infrared sauna, so I'm saying 140, but it's hot. It's hot because it's hitting you everywhere.
Yeah.
But I like it because at about 15 minutes, I want to get out because I just got done running 30 minutes. I'm dying.
Gotcha.
But I have my water, okay? I have a granola bar with some sugar if I need it, you know, not some bullshit granola bar, like a healthy one, like actually natural,
I understand.
not processed. And I like to fight for that 15 minutes to see if I can do it.
Yeah.
And if I pass out, fuck it. I know I'm not going to die. I'm just going to overheat, whatever. Who cares? But for me, it's a release for me. Sure. And then I get out. once I realize I'm not dead
Yeah.
and I, dry off, I feel relieved.
Yeah.
And when I don't do it, I'm a very irritated person.
Yeah.
Seriously. Really.
That's like David Goggins. He'll do that stuff. He's like, conquer your inner bitch. He's like, you see that? You don't want to do it? Yeah, that's being a bitch.
Well, okay. Well, the hell with that. The stuff he does, no. I'm just running in sweatshirts and sitting in a sauna. I'm not doing any of that crazy stuff. I'm not that far out there.
Yeah, exactly.
But if it works for him, good for him. Just don't ever think
yeah.
I'm going to do it. So now you know I'm going to bring this up.
Go ahead.
Ukraine and Russia. What do you think about it? Where are we headed? You're a guy to ask this.
I think that there's a lot going on that, first of all, I don't trust the news to save my worst enemy's life. You understand what I mean? So, there's a lot of that going on for sure. And look, I was in, and like you guy Tig says, like, we came back and we heard this being said. Like, I remember coming back from certain things and being like, that's in the news? That's not what was going on at all. You understand what I mean? So first and foremost, I don't think many of us really know what the hell is going on, first and foremost.
I agree with you.
Secondly, I think it ties a lot into the systematic destruction of this damn country for sure, in multiple different ways. But let's say if you just look throughout history, there's hotbeds for things. It's, you can call it what you want to call it. It's weird, but literally how many two world wars started in that same place, and the amount of stuff that's going on there. It's like, it's unbelievable. Like, this little hotbed continues, whatever the details are throughout history, every couple of years, or this happens or that happens, like, it's still in that same place, and the details of this now, and amazing things happen there too. Don't get me wrong. I'm not just saying it's both, but there's the swings of both of it. Right now, there's a lot of details of it, and what I see of just kicking Russia off of banking systems and doing that type of stuff, well, now I don't know if it's true, because I be very wary about what I read, and I've got to get to more sources and kind of validate it and all that type of stuff. But with the UAE not starting to answer calls, if that happened, Saudi Arabia thinking about maybe starting to use China dollar to do more petro. If we get away from the petrodollar, if anybody knows what the hell that is, if we get away from the petrodollar, that's a major unbalancing and shifting of the world economy like that.
Well, I'm sure you've read things that are more than likely to be real, but who knows, even with that, the better evils of the two, okay? I'm sure you probably read similar things. I don't think there's any shortage of gas. I don't think there's a shortage of supplies. I think it's all done purposely. And I'm not saying that in a conspiracy way. This guy wants to go green. What better way to push his green initiative than this? Higher gas. Yeah, we buy from Russia, but we have plenty here.
Well, I mean, just 2 years ago, we were an exporter of gas. We had a supply of gas. So how can you go and not even 2 years. What am I talking about? 14 months?
14 months, yeah.
15 months, we went from an exporter of gas to basically
$5 to $8 a gallon and kissing the world's
ass, begging Venezuela for it.
And aren't we begging Serbia or somewhere crazy?
It's supposed to be like in Venezuela, Iran throwing rockets out
great.
there now. Just last, all this stuff happening. It's like, no, there's a systematic. It's more than just like stumbling through something. And the funny thing about going green is, it's like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna plug my car in and I'm charging these batteries, but how did the power get to that plug?
Well, and then on top of coal, fuel,
natural gas.
They don't say anything about that. And then, Alex,
how did it get there?
Well, Alex, when the battery dies, what's worse for the earth? Battery, lithium, whatever the hell else is in there, or fumes?
Well, both ways. You know how hard it is? You ever see where they pull lithium out of the ground? You ever see what it does to the ground?
Yeah, it
destroys
all the animals, which means all the plants, which mean other animals.
Destroys. You think it's tough getting oil out of the ground? Well, go to where they pull rare earth minerals out of the ground and see what that looks like. So first of all, it's tough on both ways. And then two, I call it systematic destruction because our current system, grid, and whatever you want to call it, cannot even handle people being green.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll give you a good one. Germany. They were touted in the 2000s about being so green and everything else that, oh, look, Germany, they're so solar and they're so this or that. Well, guess what? When it didn't work, they're sucking Russia's pecker because
for oil.
It didn't work.
Yeah.
How'd that work out in Texas when it froze over and all of a sudden the windmills didn't work? Oh my gosh. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, you know what I mean? It's a good idea.
If you do the math, there's not even enough. There's not enough. Even if everybody said, okay, we'll drive battery operated cars. There's not enough. Period. There's not enough. Even in 10 years, there's just period. Not enough.
Forget about cars.
It's just in general.
Forget about cars. Let's say we just didn't even have cars. Forget about cars. You know the amount of products in our society that are made from petroleum? Oil, you want to call it? I mean, you know the amount of products? You know what that would do to society if you just like, we're going to get away from oil. Well, all those things you like and those phone covers and all that stuff in your phone.
Yeah, anything plastic.
Microphones and all this stuff that you like in your life and all those bits in your house and your kitchen, literally wipe it off.
Am I right? Any wire, like this wire here, plastic,
Dude,
it all has it in it, right?
It's so much that I can't even keep on to it. I know it's a lot, and it's way beyond just plastics.
Yeah.
I mean, the amount of things that are the petroleum industry touch, I think a lot of medicines, I'm not for sure for that. You could probably Google, like, what's the amount of, things used in the from oil or petroleum business, and it'd probably be like 5 pages of goods.
Put
you
it
know what I mean?
How many things are made in the United States with oil? Would that be
how many products are
or how many products? Yeah.
From the petroleum industry or from oil or petroleum or something like that.
So while he's looking that up,
do you see that?
Wow, 6,000 with over 6,000 products and counting. Petroleum. Thanks, Rob. It's okay. Now read that, Rob. Go back up.
There we go. Ink, solvents, upholstery. So everything that has
Sweaters,
bicycle tires,
skis,
dresses,
mops,
cassettes,
yarn. Wow.
Lipstick.
Plastic.
Paint.
Cement, candles.
Lipstick. Oh, see, girls, no more makeup.
Trash bags.
Yep, lipstick's on there.
Dice.
House paint, so we can't paint our houses. We can't have rugs. We can't have upholstery.
No more basketball.
Food preservatives, so we can't eat. We're all going to have to go back to natural eating.
Wow, we might not have so much cancer.
Football cleats. No more football.
No more nail polish. No more.
Oh, boy.
No more boats. No more CD players.
Oh, boy.
Helmets, toothbrushes.
All three of us in here, if the nails go and the lipstick go, we better get AirPod noise cancellations.
Water pipes. Water pipes are made out of it, so we can't get water to our house.
Look at that, Alex. Look, movie
Contact
film,
lenses.
contact lenses, toothpaste. Everybody's got a bad breath. Wow, that's
refrigerators. So we can't keep food cold anymore.
Guitar strings. Can't play the guitar anymore.
Gasoline's the last one.
dentures. A lot of people are gonna have
literally at the bottom of the list is gasoline. Everything else.
like, what the fuck? Fertilizers, you can't grow plants.
So let's do this.
Wow, that's unbelievable.
That's crazy.
Clotheslines. We won't even be able to hang our clothes outside. We can't have a dryer because there won't be electricity. So,
I mean, you know what? And you know what's absolutely crazy? You never thought that we would be looking at it like this. This is a possibility one day, or if not inevitable, in some way, shape, or form.
They're trying to.
They're trying. But they're certainly doing everything wrong enough to make it. Now, do you think Russia flattens them? I mean, I personally,
no,
you don't think so? What do you think? They negotiate and cut a deal, or what?
I just don't think he wants them part of NATO. I think if he agrees to not be a part of NATO, that there could be some middle ground that they could get to.
Didn't he say he didn't want to be part of NATO? I thought he did.
Zelensky?
Yeah.
Saying it and putting it in writing are two different things. They've been going, whether it's Zelensky or another one, has been going back and forth over the years. They'll have one leader that's like, no, and then one that's kind of like, maybe not too bad. And look at all the dealings with our current administration when he was in another position and all the funky things that were going on over there. Now all of a sudden there's this, so... I would say that there is some middle ground for sure, and at least I pray for that, because if there's not, it's just going to get 10 times worse.
Then he's gonna fight.
And
does he go past Ukraine?
I don't think Ukraine is that easy to fly.
Well, from the air.
I don't think.
I
it's
mean, you
that
know more.
easy.
I'm asking you. I mean,
I don't think it's that easy to flatten. I mean, how come the Soviets didn't flatten Afghanistan?
well, yeah, you're right. I mean, they are shooting them the hell down.
Why did the Soviets not take Afghanistan?
You tell me.
Stinger surface-to-air missiles. We sent in through CIA and everything else. We sent in tons of surface. There's documentaries. I'm not even talking about anything. You can go look it up. And we supported the Mujahideen. You know, we supported them, and it was surface-to-air missiles, even the playing ground, and just caused enough hell to Russia that it was like, all right, screw it. You guys go live in your little mountain caves. You
Well,
know what I mean?
he
Left them
signed
alone.
something today, right? To send over to
Well,
them.
it's the same thing. They're
What
sending a lot. A lot of the NATO forces are sending a lot of that. You can see a lot of they're using them to take out tanks. They're using them to take out planes. They're using them to do that. Is it going to make the Ukrainian side like easily take it out? No, but it's going to cause Russia enough hell that it ain't all that easy.
So your prediction is they make a deal.
I trust they do. Yes,
I hope so.
I hope they do.
You're
I hope
optimistic,
they-
is what you're
well,
kind of saying in a way, right?
hope for the best and prepare for the worst.
Now, do you see China making a move on Taiwan, or do you think they're going to wait? Do you? Do you think they're going for Taiwan?
I think so.
And how does that go? Me personally, now I know nothing.
Mhm.
I just try to read the best information I can. You live that life. I think that they're just gonna. I think it'll be very quick. It might even be like cyber, or whatever. I mean, what do you think?
Taiwan doesn't have a very large surface, military for sure. Their security depends on us. We have a compact with them that we would provide that security, and unfortunately, right now, our word is not worth fucking
Shit.
yeah.
So you think China's just gonna come in, ripple it, and that's it?
I just think we're at a weak point.
Would you recommend that the U.S. get involved, or it's too late? Because you get involved in that now. Now that could, in my opinion, that could be World War III. It's too late to me. These talks should have happened way before they even.
I would say with the current administration, probably not. I would wait till we get a stronger leaders in and a stronger administration and get our feet under us. You know
So
what I
just
mean?
let them do their thing.
Ain't
Let it
nobody
happen.
listening to us
Yeah.
right now.
No.
Iran sending missiles out over
Yeah.
the consulate. Ain't nobody give a damn about any word of mouth that comes out of our leadership right now.
Now back when you were in, if Iran sent that missile that hit not too far away from an American, what was it? It was an American consulate.
Mhm.
If that would have happened when you were in, what would have been the
Yeah, I mean, it
reaction?
happened in Mexico too. It's not just Iran. It happened at the Mexico
They
border.
did?
Too. Yeah, there was cartels
I just saw that. Yeah.
were banging around the American consulate over there. You know what I mean? We
Well, it's wide open for them now, right?
we're projecting heavy weakness. Well, it depends on who, because if you look at history under Carter, it was like similar. There was a lot of stuff going on with terrorists and like taking hostages at the Olympics and all that stuff. And then
Yeah.
Reagan came in and he was like, we're not negotiating no more. And he was like, peace through strength. Like, he was like, I have had enough of this, and was like, put his foot down. You understand what I mean?
Mhm.
And then some things change, and that's when we were sending missiles in Iraq and doing a lot of other stuff. You understand? And okay, well, for years after that, where they kidnapping, where they hijacking a lot of planes, like in the 70s, that was like the thing to do. Let's go fucking hijack a plane. It's Thursday. Let's go. Right?
Really?
I mean,
Yeah.
seriously,
Yeah, you
look
read
at it.
You can read about it.
Like
yeah.
it was like that was the thing to do, and let's talk about it. And I give him credit or whatever. Even up until recently, he's been like, something pops off in the world, and he'll go there and he'll talk and try and negotiate with it, and that's his personality. That's great, you know what I mean? But that stuff only gets you so far. I mean, it worked for Gandhi, but Gandhi ended up dying shot too. It's like, I'm not going out shot, man. I'm going down. If your way is to hug the man that shot you, and on the way out say, hey, that's all right, don't worry about it. If that's your way, good.
Stay
I think
the hell away from me.
Well, yeah,
I'm sorry.
I think humanity needs people like that. I'm just not one of them.
Me neither, and I don't want to be around you. If you are, sorry, go hang out with the other people like you.
So I think there's a lot going on, and it's unfortunate, and I think it's going to get a little bit worse before it gets better.
But you don't see a World War III? What percent chance do you see that happening in the next, I guess, what, 2.5 years? Or
I don't think it's gonna be like that. I think there's a button to push, or if there's a way to kind of wipe the slate clean and go start fresh, if you want to call it that, it's gonna be financial.
I just wonder if they even want it to end.
Why would you need a war? Look, if you took away all that list of goods that was up there from this society, what war would you need? You'd have people lined up begging you to do whatever they said.
Yeah, you're 100% right.
Right?
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
And then who would be the person that you're begging? The government, because they're the only ones that could help you at that point, right?
There you go.
So it seems to me, when I add it all up, and now after talking to you, that they not that they want people to be heard or whatever, but they're in no rush to end this, because it works in the favor of the agenda, in my opinion.
Yeah. But look, I mean, it comes down. They say, I've read somewhere, it's like, you get the leaders you deserve. Our society asked for it. Our society asked for it. A portion of our society asked for it. A portion did not. A portion is not. You know what I mean? We're pretty split. Now that portion that asked for it is starting to come around when I see things like Trevor Noah on his show going, this would never happen under Trump. Bill Maher going, wow, we really, could they hire Trump? Could he have him be like a stand-in on the international stage? That was Trevor Noah's joke. Like, could Biden just hire Trump to go in and kind of be a stand-in for a little bit? I'm like, Trevor Noah, are you kidding me? He was the most anti-Trump guy there are. Now people are going like, whoa, wait a minute. You know what I mean? Like, but we asked for it. When I say we, it's a collective team. You can't be on a team and be like, well, those guys, that's anti-team.
I hate that left, right, blue, red. For me, it's just whoever's the best. Whoever's the best is who I'm for.
Well, I'm a libertarian. Meaning,
that's kind of like
I'm about the Constitution. Right? Why? In this thing is an experiment.
You fought for it.
This place is an experiment.
Yeah.
This idea of America is an experiment in history. It's an experiment. It's the first time the individual is a king or queen of his own castle and his own life and his own space. When has it ever happened in history? When? Name one. No, there was a sovereign, there was a king. In China, there was a lord, there was this, there was that. You know what I mean? It was always about look at all the way back to Egypt. This one was close to God. The rest of you were slaves. Name one place that was like, no, you're a king, I'm a king, you're a king. They bash him for it, but Kanye's saying that. I mean, people don't understand what he's saying. He's like, everybody asks me who I am. I just said it. I'm a god.
Yeah.
Oh, if I said I'm a crackhead, if I said I'm messed up, if I said I'm all over the place, that's understandable. But if I say I'm my own god in my own life,
what's wrong?
Not capital G, but I'm me. Yeah. Oh, no, he's crazy. You understand what I mean? But
I think he's one smart. I think he's extremely smart.
They try and bash him.
Yeah,
crazy.
I know.
You understand what I mean? But then
that's
like literally what this country was based on.
Yeah.
And that's the experiment.
I'm with you 100,000 gazillion million %. And it's sad, but it is.
And I have confidence because,
well, there's people like you doing things to try to.
Well, what's the 3%ers for? You'll see these like 3 stripes on bumper stickers or 3%ers or a lot.
What is that?
During the Revolutionary War, right? It was only 3% of society actually fought the British. 97% were getting along.
Didn't know that.
Got it?
Yeah.
So it don't take a lot of people to stand up and dig their heels in and fight for everything that they want to cause a heavy change. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And the reason I'm a bit more calm about it is because I'm closer. I think it's more than 3%. What I've been looking at over this country over the last 4.5, 5 years, it's a lot more than 3% that want freedom. Mm-hmm. A lot more than 3%.
Well, you just said it 5 minutes ago. When you see bluer than blue, kind of coming over to the redder than red, you know.
I think, too, it starts with, like, a person should not be in office for 30 years.
Yeah,
I
that's
think term limits. And also, my personal opinion is, I don't care if it's Trump. I don't care if it's Biden. I really don't. I think the problem is they're politicians. Trump's a politician. Biden's a politician. That's what they are. They know how to play the game and swing the thing. You need a regular American, an army man, a person who fought in the service to serve the country to be the president. Not a guy who wears a suit. Both sides, Trump and Biden. Neither one of them. I think a guy who served the country and has the best needs for that country should be the president of the United States. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah.
That's the problem I think we have. It's guys in suits.
I respect your opinion for sure. You know what I mean? But, yeah, I respect your opinion. Where's the suit come from? Why do people wear suits?
It's a power thing. It's
modern day armor.
Power suit, power tie. What are you saying?
It's the modern day armor.
Yeah.
Or it's the modern when armor led to military uniforms led to suits. There's something psychological about it. You know what I mean? On the world stage.
It gives the look of power, is what it does. Not to you, but to others.
How old are you? Out of curiosity.
37.
I mean, when you were younger, yeah, we're not too far off. We're the same age. So when you were younger, it was like walk with your chest out, walk with your shoulder back, that type of thing,
Mm-hmm.
Well, that comes from during the Renaissance days and during all that war, there would be people that shucked off their armor and they would just look bigger. Understand? But they were just like, I'm the baddest mofo out here. I don't care. I don't need armor. I'm killing everything. And they project themselves. This is actually your weakest part. It's all your vitals. By walking with your shoulders back, you're projecting your vitals and saying, I'm so strong, I'll give you, here, come here. I'm going to invite you into what you think is my weakness, but don't fuck with me.
Yeah. Is that where that came from, the walking
100%.
with you? Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. That's the symbology behind it. You understand what I mean?
Boy, Alex is, he's been reading a lot, huh? Or he's always noted, just wouldn't talk about it,
That was a steel trap before, that's all.
Let's go through your website and I'll push it through. So you got the courses. When are you starting the whole course thing up again?
The dates are on the website.
Okay.
That is up to date, so you can go level 1 through.
Okay.
If you are local in the South Florida area, we also do some networking events called Keep America Armed. And that's like-minded people get together. We have cocktails. We have some hors d'oeuvres. And, yeah, so we do the Keep America Armed events.
And if people want to attend that, how can they attend that?
They can go to our website and they can check out different dates that we have. We'll put the Keep America Armed dates on there.
Okay.
So the Keep America Armed dates will be up there. We do those periodically.
Mm-hmm.
All the dates for the workshops are up there.
On the
Keep
website.
America, they're there. And then when we have these special things, it'll be on the website also. Yeah, and even talking about everything that we talked about for the last few minutes, what motivates me to get up and do what I'm doing in my mission is to improve our society. We're in a fear-based society. It's just the way it is. It's
Right.
the way. It's the motivation for a lot of people. I want to make a lot of money because I don't want to be broke. I need to do this because I don't want that. That's a fear-based thing. You understand what I mean? So, and the reason I go through this is create a world of courageous warriors. Courage to me is the foundation of all of it. If we have a better citizenry, we have better society, we will make better leaders because we won't stand for this nonsense. You know what I'm saying? And I see some of that coming in. I don't knock it all. There are some, I would call them some of the younger generation and some of the older generation of politicians I see kind of snapping in and doing some good things on some sides. Does that make sense? However, to me, yeah, that's all great, and the government this and that's all fine. The most important thing is the individual. There's no I in team, right? Yeah, well, there's an M and an E.
Mm-hmm.
And if you ain't doing your best, then you're just a weak link in that. So my mission here through these workshops, create courageous warriors. With more courage, we'll pick better leaders. We'll train, make better decisions.
And you can see a perfect example of courage with the president of Ukraine. That guy was a comedian. Everybody joked about him. And look who's standing strong.
Yes.
And he's not leaving his people, and he's not leaving his country. And if you want to talk about courage, if that's not courage, I don't know what is.
Yeah, I mean, just look at
and he's getting all, and he's doing video where, Elon told him, hey, they're tapping that satellite, buddy. So, pre-record and go through tunnels, and if you don't have them built, here, crawl through one of the missiles that we blew up half the place with.
Yeah, I mean, but that and there's acts of courage popping up everywhere. Look at the boxers, the Klitschko brothers,
Yeah.
or like the mayor. They're
I couldn't believe
multi-millionaire
some of the people
boxers.
went over there.
They're like, he had the money to go. There was a boxer here. I mean, Vasily Lomachenko. I don't know if you guys
Yeah.
watch banking, but
Yeah.
he went back over. I mean,
Mhm.
he's a multi-million-dollar world champion that was living here. He was fine. He could have stayed right here. He's like, pack it up. I'm going.
Well, you know,
what I
he
mean?
went there,
Mhm.
and then he left, came back, and I guess he couldn't take it and went back again. He went back. He got
Yeah.
out of there, escaped, went through the whole thing to get the hell back, and he just couldn't. He said, "Look, this is my thing.
Yeah.
My back." And he has the world by the ass right now.
Well, when you've got that much heart in the fight, and that's the one thing about the Ukrainian people, they got a lot of heart in it, man. And you don't want to fight somebody with too much heart in it.
Well, you know, when you study what like the top guys are saying, like generals and like that, they say it's much harder. It's much harder to beat. What they were saying was like Russia's military. They're kind of there like, why are we even here? What's the purpose, right? Where okay, our leader told us to do this, but Ukraine, they have a purpose. They're defending their country, where they live, where their families are at, where you know their thing. So when you're fighting against a purpose, and those men and women that are fighting back, they're civilians, you know, that they're handing out AKs to and they're doing a pretty damn good job, because I've seen some nice shots come out of this, and they're fighting for something they believe. Where the Russian soldiers, do you really think that they want to be over there, like blowing all this shit up for what reason? They didn't even know why they thought they were going there for training, correct?
Well, I don't know that for sure. Why do I don't know that? We've got that information off people that were captured. You understand? You go through. Now, I don't know if the Russians do this. You understand what I mean? But I know on the American side of it, you go through some type of training. If you get captured, become a POW, this is how you handle it. First thing is, listen, I believe in your cause too. I don't even know why the hell I'm here. That's like 101.
Never thought about it that way.
Oh, yeah. I totally don't want to be here either. Oh, my God. I can't believe the government would make me do this. I'm on your side. Just don't cut my hands off.
I fucking hate the news because you know
You know what I mean?
I don't even like watching it, Alex. But I constantly heard that on the news, and now my dumbass didn't even think about it logically, and it actually got to me. Not thinking that this is coming from people that were captured.
Yeah,
They're trained to be fucking captured, right?
Yeah,
Or they go through the training. What do you do if you get captured? Especially with him.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're bully to a moon of what you do when you get captured.
I know one thing about Russia
I
is
never
you
even
don't
thought about
you don't talk
Fucking
against the
news.
government. Why?
because you end up in a body bag.
No, you're
Well,
lucky.
it's happened.
You're
Planes
lucky.
fall out of the sky with the seas.
If you're lucky, you get a body bag. We call it an owl because they just go who? Who?
And you got
Yeah.
and you got family back home that you gotta watch that they'll go after.
Yeah.
You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
So you're just like, who? You know what I mean? Like you just
Yeah.
poof, you disappear. So now, you know, what I'm doing is just play all sides of things.
Mm-hmm.
I don't buy nothing hook, line, and sinker. And I look at it objectively and go, yeah, I know this for sure, and I agree with you, is that the Ukrainians got a lot more heart in the fight than the Russians do.
And that's really all we know.
And
for
that's
sure.
the most important thing. I know that I know from even interviews or looking at the results or looking at other things, you know, what's coming out of these people's mouths directly. And intuitively, you could just watch it and see. You know what I mean? Like, why did Russia beat Germany in World War II? They had a lot more heart in the fight. They were on a corner of damn Leningrad/Moscow. Like, it was there. That was their homeland. You understand what I
And
mean?
they were the underdog.
And they were the
by a long
underdog
shot.
like hell, but they fought like hell. And that same spirit is what Ukrainians are doing now, too.
Well, we're at day 16 or 17 or however many days.
3 weeks on.
I thought he was slow playing it. I thought he was slow playing it because I thought for financial reasons, because eventually, in my opinion, at the time before talking to you, I thought eventually he's just going to flatten the place and take it over. And in my opinion, I had thought that he was slow walking it because everything he destroys, he's going to have to pay to rebuild. And then I thought, well, maybe, because they keep saying he lost his mind. I don't think that man lost his mind at all. I think he's just a nutcase, and he has a purpose, and his purpose is to take over the place. I mean, I don't think Putin's losing his mind. Okay, do you? Just what your opinion is.
I think that they're playing on a chessboard.
Mm-hmm. Like
And
tit
that's
for
what
tat.
it is. They're playing on a chessboard. I don't want this. Let me move this piece over here. You understand?
See now, and then when he was hitting the civilian buildings,
We're just not in the game.
yeah, yeah,
You don't get to see the board. You don't get to see the
no,
rules. I don't get to see the board. I don't even get to see the rules.
we're just taking wild guesses. Because I thought he was hitting some civilian places at first because they weren't too populated, saying like, "Go, I'm coming."
Mm-hmm.
But now that he's hitting real shit, today he hit an apartment complex. There was nothing but civilian, or no, it was a bunker. It was a
Statement.
it was a place, I forget what it was. It was like a place that you wait to get picked up to go on the bus or something like that, or a school maybe,
Okay.
where people were hiding for safety to get by, and he literally just dropped the bomb or the missile, whatever, right on that. And there was nothing in the area where you could say, oh, well, he was trying to hit this or trying to hit that. There was nothing around there but those people that were trying to escape.
Yeah.
When you get home, if you turn on the news, which I wouldn't bother.
I agree, and I think he's thinking he's winning, but sometimes you resolve people even more when you do that. You're like,
That's what I was thinking he was doing.
you're resolving them even more. They're like, damn it, he is gonna. Now you're like, even if they wanted to, he's just gonna come in here and murder us all anyway. So we might as well fight to the death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you just made it.
When your back's against the wall, man.
What do you
Fuck
got
it.
to lose?
Fuck it.
You know, they're already there. It's left and right. Might as well go balls to the wall.
That's one type of person you never want to fight. Somebody that's in fuck it mode.
No, hell no. That is
just
not.
like,
No.
Nothing to lose.
Nothing to lose, man. You don't
So-
want to fight fuck it mode.
No,
you might want to
no.
fight somebody that's got to get home. They got something to do. You know what I mean? They're thinking a little bit. You don't want to fight fuck it.
So last thing, if China does make their move on Taiwan, and you think they are we going to step in? Nope.
Nope.
We better not.
I don't know
Well,
if we better not.
Well, I don't think it's a
we
good
will.
idea right now to. I mean,
I don't think we will.
I think there was a nice gift made for all that to just sit back and let all this happen. You got a $16 million house. You got $16 million there. You got $6 million there. I don't know. You only make $400K as president. It doesn't quite add up.
You know the guy.
Is my math wrong?
The guy that's in the bar that's like, I'm gonna kick everybody's ass, and then doesn't do nothing.
Couldn't have said it better, man. Right?
I'm gonna do this thing, and everybody's just like,
Yeah.
put the music back on. Let's go.
Yeah.
What are we drinking? You know what I mean? What are we talking about?
Get rid of
Like-
this guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you ever do DMT?
No.
Because it's naturally. Well, it used to be naturally reoccurring in the brain, and I think that's how we evolved a lot quicker than.
So somebody said.
So somebody said, but there there was proof of that.
Okay.
You have DMT up there; it's just not active. But,
Okay.
but there was. No, I could show you.
Fair enough. I got it.
Yeah,
I believe you. I believe you.
No, I asked because I want to try it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I want to open up and see things a little bit differently, but I don't want to be that one guy who fucking takes it and I go crazy. You
Doesn't
know what I
come
mean?
back from it.
Yeah, it doesn't come back, and then I'll be going to your class to try to get me back. Get me back, man. I'm seeing alligators all over me.
Well, yeah.
or
We'll talk about it. I
psilocybin.
think-
Psilocybin, I would try to.
I think what those things do, they're a temporary kind of door, and then the door shuts. But there's only one way to get there, and for it to really stick and be self-actualized and that type of thing. Does it help people with certain things? Sure, but I believe, create our own reality, whether you're doing that deliberately or not. Everybody's doing it on some level, for sure. And I think it's the quick way out. And I know Rogan and Mike Tyson are all like, oh yeah, and they did this or that. Guess what? I think it's I still think that is kindergarten level of operating from our mind. And our mind ain't up here, and it ain't no pineal gland. Like, point to your mind.
See, I just wanted to do it because I'm really interested in space and dimensions and simulation possible. So I've never done it. I just wanted to get that experience of looking at like the
I get
world
it.
in a different way.
I get it.
But at the same time, I also don't want to get all fucking weird or get stuck on something that happened then. It's just not.
I don't think that's part of it. There's some of that stuff that they do that's
Alex, you don't know.
artificial.
If there was a such thing as luck, I have no luck. Forget about it.
I'd be the one in 10
I would
million.
be the one that would get stuck. The odds of like DMT or whatever or the psilocybin thing.
Yeah.
They say 1 in 10 million.
Yeah.
If I didn't have bad luck, I'd have no luck. I would be that one guy that has the worst side effect. I'm hauled off. There's the feds. Oh, gee, there's Tommy. Fuck. What do you do now? I would be that one guy.
I got it.
All right. Well, I was hoping you could tell me an experience, but all right. Maybe I'll just run away
I don't.
from it.
I don't have an experience on
Yeah.
that, but you know, I have had experiences, and like it comes down to being
Naturally.
present in the moment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you know, I asked you. It's like point to your mind. Where is your mind?
Well, everybody goes like this.
Yeah, but that's a brain. That's a computer processor.
Right.
You know what I mean?
What happens when Elon puts that Neuralink up there?
Get out. I think you're just gonna be faster monkeys.
Yeah. No, but
We're just gonna be faster monkeys.
that's true though.
That's it.
But that's true.
Yeah. Just be
I mean, it's true.
faster monkeys.
I don't know how people
You know,
don't
evolution
see that, but
is evolving the spirit and mind.
it's undeniable.
I think even Sadhguru said it. You know, he's an Indian guru, if you will. Sadhguru, he's very popular right now. He said, give me 30 of the world leaders for a year and the whole world would change. Because he would mature them and evolve them on a certain way. I couldn't give 30 world leaders Neuralink and it would get any better. It'd be Terminator.
Yeah, it would be Terminator.
It'd be Terminator.
Yeah, which is probably coming either way anyway.
Technology ain't making us any better.
No.
You
Absolutely
understand?
not.
Truly. So we got to get
Technology
back
is
to
probably going to end us if we
Yeah.
don't do something.
real world experiences. That's why we're doing what we're doing. Get
Yeah.
out there, touch it, feel it.
Yeah, man. I've seen. I don't know if you had all this in you before, just didn't come out, but seems everything's different.
Yeah.
Different. Yeah. I mean, this is awesome.
Well, the one thing I do is I keep myself at the tip of the spear. So
Mhm.
I'm constantly pushing my own growth forward more to be more capable and be the best instructor.
Always grow.
Yeah.
Can never get content.
Yes,
And
sir.
completely different from last time. You know.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you coming in early on. You didn't have to do that. I really do appreciate that.
You've been very generous with us, and you seem a genuine human being. So
Yeah.
can I ask Sam, and
I'm not one of those guys.
she's about to hate that I say this. She's gonna hate this right now.
Uh-oh. I didn't do it.
I love students. I love training. Outside of that, I don't integrate with population much. I kind of like I get out and about. I'm like, man, I can't stand being here. She's like, you don't like anybody. I'm like, well, I like students.
I'm the
Like-
exact same way. I do not like going to parties. I don't want to be around people. I'm the same way. I'm just like you.
Yeah.
Because I can read people pretty well, you know, and I could see 10 miles away just from experiences. When the guy walks up with the bullshit, like, I already know. I'd rather just go home and learn something or work, make money and be more productive.
Yeah.
You know, I hate it. I hate it.
I'd rather stare. So my point of that is you've always seemed like a very genuine person to me and a good guy and very generous with us. So I appreciate it.
Oh, I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
And I am. I'm not like that at all.
Yeah,
I'm
for
not.
sure. I get it.
I was raised where I was raised how you should be raised, because back then, if I got in a fight in high school, just like Rob, guess whose ass got? If I lost a fight in high school, guess what happened when I got home?
You'd
There was no
get-
calling the cops.
Oh, no.
My grandpa got called.
Yeah.
6'6", huge, didn't give a f.
Yeah.
I took a little thrown around, and you know what? I'm happy he did.
Exactly.
Because it made me tough. And when bad things happened, other than my mom, that buried me. But other than that,
Yeah.
it allowed me to deal with bad situations because he was just, you know.
Prepared you for life.
I knew if I was going to get in a fight in school, I better win, because if not, because he would literally throw me in his car and go look at the kid. He was nuts, man. He was nuts. Yeah, he was, you know, old.
Old
He was
school.
Old school Italian.
Old
Didn't give a shit. Who is it? Is it him? He'd go to the guy's house and just say, hey, sir, I'd like to see your son. And they look at me, and if I was worse, oh, Tommy, mommy can't save you this time.
I love it.
Right? You went through that too, right, Rob?
I love it.
My dad, my grandfather was dead, but my dad.
Yeah, his dad. And my grandmother, 4'6". Hey, Alex, how are you?
Yeah.
Like this. Gravy spoon, boom.
Wow.
She should have ordered gravy spoons if I could buy the millions.
There you go.
And she'd stand up to anybody, you know, and you know, makes you tough.
It does.
But now, hey, here's your iPad. Go play on the iPad and sit in your room.
You got timeout cards.
You got timeout cards in the military. I mean, come on. God, like, what are they thinking? You're gonna go timeout cards in the military. You're gonna go. You might have to go to war one day.
Yeah.
You might have to go up to Afghanistan where you got kids walking by you blowing themselves up, and you got a fucking time. I'm sorry to swear in front of your dog, not you, the dog. I was just making a joke. Shouldn't have said a bad joke that time.
Yeah.
I was not. I didn't mean that. Fuck. You know, I was just joking. But it's just crazy, man.
Yeah.
Military has timeout cards.
Well,
Ugh.
I say get in it and train.
take things, they need to start doing more physical.
And I get more physical too. I get a lot of parents are like, "Oh, do you do kids?" I'm like, "No.
Yeah.
I'm not taking your kids on board. How about you do the training and you go home and train your
You
kids
train,
or something?"
yeah.
They're like, "No, I don't got time for that." It's like,
Yeah, of
oh,
course.
you want to dump your kids off on me, but you
Yeah.
don't want to do it yourself.
You don't got time for that. Yeah,
Personal
well, when your kid's
responsibility.
30 and a mess,
Personal responsibility for sure. So get in
Right.
and train. And if it's not with me, find somebody. You know what I mean? There's different ways. If it's not just in this world, challenge yourself is what I'm saying to people. Take on a challenge and complete it. It's super important. And I don't like to I do a little, I guess I do a lot of it, but if you take on a challenge, there's neural pathways that start to build. If you don't finish that connection's never made. And that causes a lot of frustration.
And then doesn't that lead on to more and more of the
Anxiety,
similar activity?
Yeah, and then you don't finish nothing, you know what I mean? So just take
Everything's
something
like
on and finish it.
half-assed.
Just take something and finish it. Just all I'm telling the world is take on a challenge, get in there, complete it, and do that again.
Well, whatever I can do to help you with changing this disorder BS,
Mhm.
okay, because people said that to me too. And back in my day when I would see red really quick, even though I'm little, I didn't get no height, but that would just not the time, Anything I could do to help you with that, I'd be more than happy to. And one last thing to ask you. So, and you had brought it up as well. A lot of times in these courses that other people do, they say, "Here, hit a can," right?
Mhm.
That's not training. So what separates what you guys do from some of those courses where they say, "Come on, I got 30 acres, hit that can," right? So what's the difference between the way you do things and just in all honesty, your competition, really?
We focus on what it takes to win a fight. And that has a lot more to do than just the technique of a weapon. You understand? A lot of people go buy a weapon or a gun, and it's quite dangerous. They have it, they put it in their nightstand at their house. They're like, "I got that thing. I feel safe." You understand? Now, what happens is somebody breaks in the house, or they carry it on them even, and they're standing at an ATM, and somebody's there, and they pull it out, and they freeze, and they can't use it. Now, that gets taken from them. People are shot with their own guns. Those are hot guns on the road. Those are bad things that happen. You understand what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
We train as that thing, that fight or flight, that froze. We train you to be the weapon. Everything else is a tool. They're just force multipliers. It could be a gun, it could be this, it could be a knife, it could be a chair, it could be something, but it's that thing. I mean, what's the worst bad dream in the world? You want to speak, you can't, freezing. You want to run, your legs are not working. You're waking
Those
up,
are the
and
worst
you're like,
for me.
fuck, I just wanted to do
Yeah.
something. Well, imagine living your life that way.
Right.
Screw the dream. Imagine going through every day that way. You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
And that is what we deal with primarily, is what it takes in fortitude to win a fight. And then we give you techniques and tools to make it better.
And to also avoid.
100%.
Yeah.
Good avoidance.
But reality is reality.
A good
right?
avoidance is also strength.
Yeah. Sure.
Fuck around and find out what's up.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I'm going to go to the other guy.
Right.
You understand what I mean? There's a bit of that. And so just by training, you develop a lot of that. But yes, the avoidance is also
Within
within
yeah.
the training. Makes sense.
I think it's a great thing. I don't think I could have said it better. So better now before we screw it up, right?
All right, wrap it up.
You want to say anything? Nope. All right. We tried last time, remember?
Yeah. I don't know.
It's all right.
She runs the scenes in the background. I'm putting my face in it.
All right, Alex. Well, hey, look, let me know what I could do to help. More than happy to. And thank you. Thank you for coming on. I mean that genuinely.
Awesome.
Because I think this is great.
Appreciate you,
You're
brother.
doing a great thing.